All right, so welcome back, Ben. Great
Good
to
to be
have you
back.
here. Let's jump straight into today's email with the daily quote, a little bit of related teaching, and then that'll lead us nicely into our lesson. So, I'm back. Lynn, hi. You
Hello.
still there?
Yes.
Sorry. I think my computer just got overloaded there. It was
No
like,
worries.
yeah, I just sort of froze up. I think there were too many apps open. So it was like, okay. Not happening. So I just had to reboot. So never mind. We'll carry on. It's still recording, I think, really. Yeah, it's recording on thingamajig. Stop recording here. Okay, so record. The AI is still recording. Not happening. Recording this computer. There we go. Okay. So that's happening. So And are we still live? We're live on YouTube. Let's just see. We're live on YouTube?
I think I had a
Yeah, I think so.
notification come up.
Yeah, yeah, we are live on YouTube. Okay. So just checking that. All right, so let's dive in, shall we? Sorry about the technical difficulties. Okay, so where are we? Let's bring up today's quote. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right, so if you can read that headline quote from Einstein to kick it
The
off, please.
significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them.
It's a great quote. It's one of my favorite, actually, because it's so simple and yet so insightful. And so you can see Einstein was a very deep thinker, the world's most famous scientist, but also a philosopher. In fact, in his later years, the last, say, 25 years of his life, when he went to America, he was a professor at Princeton. He didn't do any groundbreaking scientific work. He'd done that in the previous 25 years of his career. But he started coming up with these kinds of philosophical statements because he was going towards unity. He was looking for the grand unified theory in his last 25 years. The one theory that would unite all science in one comprehensive theory. He never found it. And I don't think anyone ever will, because you're looking for unity in the construct of separation, which is the problem. But he was looking for it. I think he understood that there was some transcendent power force that was unifying. You're just looking in the wrong place for it. He's looking in the world of form for it, when it's beyond this world. It's transcendent. And so what happens is his journey and other people's journeys to show us that the lines between philosophy and science start to blur as one moves closer to the truth. And this quote does express a fundamental truth about the cause of the problems we experience in our human condition. And that is erroneous thinking. I don't know if you looked at yesterday's teaching around a perceptual problem. Did you watch David Hoffmeister's video or listen to him? So already saying we've got one problem. We have a fundamental perceptual problem. So we are perceiving and thinking incorrectly because of that. So the solution to, if that's the truth, then the solution to any problem must be to change our thoughts about the problem, rather than trying to fix only the problem in the external world on the level of form, without raising the level of our habitual thoughts about such problems. As Einstein said, significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking at which you created them. It's a very profound quote. So he's talking about levels of awareness, levels of consciousness here, and that there is a higher level of that awareness, which is what we call the Holy Spirit. Trying to solve problems on the level that they were created is the futile approach to problem solving that the ego, or belief in separation, sponsors eagerly, because it will never work. Remember, its mission is to seek and seek and never find the answer, Because if it finds the answer, then that undoes the ego. So to solve any problem, we must first recognize that the origin of all our problems is in our minds. Otherwise, you keep looking for answers externally to you and keep finding that you don't find the answer. It's very tempting to do that. But the more you do it, the more you find that actually you don't really find the answer to your peace and your happiness, because you solve one problem on the level of form, and then another one comes, and another one. And often the solution to one problem creates other problems. And that you'll resonate with this example. Think of the so-called miracle of plastic, right? In the 1950s, 60s, somewhere around there, someone invented plastic as a byproduct of the oil industry. And everyone was like, wow, this stuff's amazing. You know, it's durable, it's cheap, it's light. This is the answer, right? And so everyone started using, all the manufacturers started using plastic galore. And then 20 years later, everyone recognized that, oh, now we've created, possibly an even bigger problem. A monster, because there's plastic everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the rivers, the streams, and the oceans. There's, massive conglomerations of plastic in the middle of the ocean, like that stretch for miles, apparently. Because it all gets washed down the streams and then into the ocean, and the currents, bring it into. As you well know, marine life then eat it. And it's just a horrible problem created by what was apparently a miracle solution, which demonstrates that the solutions that the ego sponsors never really work. The only solution is to change our thinking. As Yeshua says, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. That's the approach that we're taking here. So you don't try and fix things on the level of form, but you change your mind about it, i.e., you recognize that all problems are ultimately illusory. There are no problems. They just seem to be problems because we've made up the problems in order to justify the ego. Right? So problems and the ego go hand in hand. Without problems, the ego wouldn't exist. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Because we must make up problems in order to now have a justification for the negative thoughts and emotions that make up the ego. So why would you be angry or upset or fearful in any way if there wasn't a problem? You wouldn't.
No.
You'd just be perfectly at peace. So the problems are a necessary part of its projection to engender the negative emotions that it wants you to experience, which make up the ego. Which is why we have a very problematic world. And why, no matter how much we seem to try and solve all these problems as a species, we just seem to create more. We haven't, in all of our human history, which stretches maybe 250,000 years, maybe longer, we haven't actually solved the key problems of human existence: death, suffering, sickness, aging, and suffering in all of its forms is still very much with us as part of the human condition. And no amount of technology is going to remove that suffering. The only thing that's going to remove that suffering is a change of mind. It's a technology of the mind, i.e., forgiveness, that's going to do this. So we must recognize that the origin of all our problems is in our minds. First principle of a miraculous problem solving. And this recognition, which literally means to know again, automatically takes us to a higher level of thinking. If we're thinking that, then we're not just thinking about the level of form. We've elevated our thinking into a higher level where we're more in touch with our true awareness. And that elevated awareness opens the way for the reinterpretation of everything we perceive under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, or remembrance of perfect love, which is the corrective or miraculous solution to our problems. Right? So we must change our thinking, we change our mind, we reinterpret everything. That's the change of perception, which is where the rubber meets the road in this course. It's all very well changing your mind, and it's all theoretical and abstract, but you have to change it in regard to things that are seemingly happening in your life. So you get a challenge, for example, something's happened, you're tempted to go into fear, you raise your thinking up into the Holy Spirit, and you perceive it differently, which is demonstrated quite well in this diagram of the Holy Trinity. No, doesn't want to do that. Okay, don't know why it wants. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Wants me to go into Microsoft. I just want the document. Okay, so there it is, the Holy Trinity. So this demonstrates it quite well. Our job is to go up from this level of thinking in which we make all experiences in time and space real and therefore react to them, and to raise ourselves up into the true self or the Christ, which knows that they are not real, which can overlook them from this higher perspective and recognize that they're ultimately not real, and then change your perception accordingly. So this is why it's a double arrow. You go up into this true self, and then that awareness, expanded awareness, helps you reinterpret whatever's happening on the level of form. So that's why the down arrow is there as well. In order to change your perception, you must go back into the world and then perceive that situation, event, circumstance differently, based now on this higher awareness that only oneness is true. The true self knows that only God or pure formless awareness of perfect love is true, and it's a derivative of that. The true self comes from that awareness and is connected to that awareness, which is why we talk about the Son of God, the extension of perfect love, because it's connected to the fundamental awareness that you really are. It's just kind of a step down, transformer that allows you to take this awareness, which is so transcendent, and then bring it down into a usable form, like a step down transformer in electricity. Now, you don't take power from generated from a power station and stick it straight into your appliances. It has to go through a substation and be stepped down in voltage in order to be usable. And it's the same kind of idea here. This is like the power station, the source of the power, and it's very, very powerful energy, but it needs to be stepped down into a usable form in this world. And that step down transformation mechanism is the Holy Trinity, the true self or the Christ, and the Holy Spirit, which is how that true self, knowing that it is just perfect oneness, interprets everything on this level of form. And that's your true perception. That's where the miracles happen. And so it's actually a very simple but very powerful system that he's giving us to transform our minds, our perceptions of everything, and ultimately our lives, if we just will simply apply it to whatever shows up. All right. So any questions about that?
No.
Otherwise, let's go back to, sorry, wrong tab. Let's go back to there. So the reinterpretation of everything we perceive under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, which is just a remembrance of perfect love, is the corrective or miraculous solution to our problems. So people can say, oh, it's all about woo-woo. It's a bit like, hang on, I've got real problems. I need some answers on a practical level. And the truth is that this delivers those. You can change your perception and you can get guidance from that reinterpretation of the problem on a practical level. So you can be guided to do something or say something, take some action that will help to resolve the problem. But now you're doing it from a different perspective. You're guided instead of operating from the ego and being in guilt and fear and anger and attack. You're connected to source. You're in love, peace, and joy. And now that kind of thinking becomes your guide. But first, we must let go of our ego's interpretation of any problem as real and unsolvable. So the ego tells you that problems are permanent, therefore they are real, and just to make it really vicious, that they are punishable. If you've made a mistake, then you or someone else, it's quite good at projecting its guilt onto others in the form of blame, but someone must pay the price. You know? So there must be a punishment. And that's the definition of sin. It's error made real because you perceive it as permanent and punishable. So error made real, permanent, and punishable is the definition of sin. And that's the ego's religion. That's what it's addicted to. That's what it believes in. So we have to be willing to let go of our ego's interpretation of any problem, i.e. drop the idea that it's permanent and punishable, and therefore that it's real. Start letting go of that. And just seeing that beyond that delusion is pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is the truth. Okay, so we did a discussion session here, which was on yesterday's lesson and text reading, The Gifts of Fatherhood, workbook lesson 79, where we discussed the authority problem. So you can go and watch that or listen to this at your leisure. Really, to summarize what that lesson is saying, yesterday's lesson, that it's saying there's only one problem we ever experience it. Now, let me recognize my problems have been solved. Saying, let me recognize that there's really only one problem, and therefore only one solution. And that problem is the problem of separation. Well, that's the only problem we have. Whatever form a problem takes, it's because of the idea of separation that underlies it. So then you've got the one solution. Well, drop your belief in the problem's reality and open your mind to the awareness beyond that. One problem, one solution. So there's only really one problem we're ever experiencing, which is the problem of separation. That's our only one. That's our one problem.
And but different triggers make it seem different, don't they?
Yeah. The ego is a master at trying to disguise that and get you to focus on the various forms of the problems. So, well, there's another problem that's completely different from your previous one, or another problem that you're facing. And yes, you're saying, no, what we've got to see clearly in order to heal is that there's only one problem. And therefore only one solution. And to actually apply that in your life. That's the test. That's what's difficult. The teaching is not difficult. It's very simple. But to apply it in your life rigorously without exception is the difficulty. Mm-hmm. And that's why we practice. There's really only one problem we're ever experiencing, which is the problem of separation. Therefore, there's only one answer to this problem, which is letting go of the belief in separation or ego and accepting at one minute with our source and all of our mighty companions who have the same source. The key message of this section of the text is that we are extended by love and can extend the awareness of love to all our seemingly human companions on our journey through this world. It's only when we do extend this love freely and without limit that we come to know that our source is also unlimited and gives its gifts of love, peace, and joy as freely and generously to us. Okay, so that's a recording of a past session, how to recognize what your own problem is, accept the gifts of fatherhood or sourcehood, as we call it. That leads us nicely into our session today. And next item is the workbook lesson. Okay, so let's have a read of that. Get some recording going. All right, so let's have a look then at lesson 80, which is today's lesson.
Can you just give me a minute, Jono? I'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah, sure. Okay, just pause if you're watching the live stream. We'll be back in a minute. All right. Then you're back.
I am.
Okay. I thought I heard someone trying to join. I wonder if that was Elaine. All right, hopefully she'll try again. So yeah, if you can read that to kick it off. Lesson 80. Very simple lesson.
What, from Let Me Recognise or from the next paragraph?
Yeah. Just read the key idea and then read paragraph 1.
Let me recognise my problems have been solved. If you are willing to recognise your problems,
Read it in the alternative, because
Oh.
then we've got the personalization going on.
if I am willing to recognise my problems. Hi, Lane.
You're muted.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lynn.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome. We're just starting the lesson, so it's good timing.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, Elaine, you want to read paragraph 1?
Yeah.
If I am willing to recognise my problems, I will recognise that I have no problems. My one central problem has been answered, and I have no other. Therefore, I must be at peace. Therefore, my awakening depends on recognising this one problem and understanding that it has been solved. One problem, one solution. My awakening is accomplished. I am free from conflict. I accept this fact, and I am ready to take my rightful place in perfect love's plan for my awakening.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one in summary?
That all of our issues are caused by separation. And if we stop feeling separate, we won't have any issues.
Yeah, one problem, one solution.
Sounds so easy.
So simple. Yeah, but it's not easy, is it? But it's simple. What he's saying in this course is so simple that we find it very difficult. Because the ego is very complex, extremely complex, extremely difficult, twisted, dysfunctional thought system. And so the simplicity of this teaching is completely alien to the ego. So how can there only be one problem in the world, it says? Just look around you. There's loads of problems. Just you personally have got loads of problems. And then each person has got their own set of unique problems. And then there's, social problems, society's problems, and global problems, and
the world,
and the problems of the whole world that are just, how can you say there's only one problem? Because the ego is trying to defend all of that. And it never wants you to find the one solution to every problem. Because if you find that solution and you pull the plug using that solution on the ego, then it's done for. Then it's game over. There's no more ego, there's no more world. And that's the only approach that's really going to work. Imagine you swimming in a bathtub of toxic waste, right? And the bathtub's just horrible and it's disgusting, and you're trying to clean that up, and you're trying whatever you can to clean up the bath water and fix all the problems, and it's coming from the toxic water. Well, the answer's simple, isn't it? What do you do?
Get out of the water.
Pull the plug.
Yeah.
Pull the plug. Pull the plug. That's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then all the toxic waste will disappear. It'll be flushed down, and then you've got an empty vessel, an empty bath, and it can be cleaned. So that's the answer. It's equivalent to, that's just an analogy to demonstrate what you're trying to do with the mind, is to pull the plug on the whole system. Don't try and mess around in the bath trying to clean up the bath with toxic water and then fix various other problems. Now you've got a stench in your bathroom, and that's affecting other parts of the house. But don't try and do that, because you're actually making the problem real. You're just entrenching it, so it becomes a fixture then in the household. Actually, you just want to pull the plug.
Yeah.
That's the approach that he's giving us. He's saying, pull the plug on the reality that you've given all of these problems by recognizing that there's only one problem, and that's that I have believed in a separate self. I believed in the idea of separation, that I have a separate identity from love, and therefore I have a separate self, which is my ego, and that separate self is the problem, because from that separate self comes the perception of a world of problems. Right? So projection makes perception. We project it out on one level, and then we perceive it as real, and that creates the drama of our lives. So if you look at it in this, where are we? This is what I wanted. So the one problem we have is the desire still to be separate. We still want a separate self. We want a separate identity, and everything that goes with that. We don't realize fully what that entails. Otherwise, we wouldn't desire it. No one in their right mind would want the ego if it could see clearly. But it's confused us, because we've got all these layers that cover over that desire: perception, emotion, thought, belief. And so we're not aware that actually our only problem is that we still desire to be a separate self. That separate self then projects itself out, creates our experiences in the world, which we then perceive, but we perceive them, if we believe in the ego, from that desire, from the desire to be a separate self. So we're going to perceive things from a separated perspective. We're going to perceive things that are fearful, that are upsetting us. We're going to perceive really all the justifications for the ego's thought system: guilt, sin, fear, and attack, which then layers the emotional and thought defenses for our core belief that we are a separate self, and that would take a form of I'm actually unworthy of love. We've been down this rabbit hole in the Art of Letting Go course. I'm unworthy of love. I'm not worthy to love or to be loved, and so I'm a victim of the world, and that becomes our core identity, which gives form to the desire to be a separate self. And so Yes was saying, well, you've only got one problem, and that's that your desire is still to be a separate self. If you can let go of that desire and give way to the prayer of the heart, which is to be one again with your source and with everyone, then all your problems can be solved. Because you remove the projection mechanism that's projecting out and creating all of the dramas in your life. And then you also remove the perceptual mechanisms, perceiving them as real and reinforcing them with false thoughts, emotions to entrench these false beliefs. So this diagram, hand in hand with this lesson, show us the way out of all problems. You've just got to get down to the core of the problem, which is that we desire still to be a separate self, and recognize that that is not really a problem, because we can't really be a separate self. It's actually impossible to be separate from your source. So your desire for the impossible is the only problem, as he points out over and over again in the course. Okay, is that clear? So we move on.
Yeah.
And so then he's saying, well, it's already done, right? It's a done deal. One problem, one solution. If you fully accept that, what you're doing essentially is collapsing time. Do you see that? You're saying my
Say that
awakening is
again, sorry.
You're collapsing time. So there's one problem and one solution, and you really get that, then your awakening is accomplished, which is what he's saying. Okay, I'm already awake then, because I get that. So why do I need time to work out my awakening when I'm already awake, when I get it? So you collapse time, which is why he says in the text that the miracle is the only device you have at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Because when you do this, you're saying, well, it's a done deal already. I don't have to do so X and Y and Z to awaken. I'm already awakened. In this moment, awakening is accomplished because I see the problem clearly. I accept the solution right now, and that's your awakening. And so in that moment, you've collapsed time. There is no time. There's no need for past or future, because you're whole and present and complete in the present moment.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so he's asking us, and the reason why the translation in this instance is very helpful is they become affirmations, don't they? My awakening is accomplished. You're stating that.
Yeah.
It's an affirmation of the truth. I am free from conflict. These become affirmations of these fundamental truths. And I accept this fact, and I'm ready to take my rightful place in perfect love's plan for my awakening. So he's asking us to accept that this is a done deal already. And when we do accept it fully, then it is a done deal. It's only our acceptance that's lacking, because we still perceive that there's many problems that need to be solved. Okay. Any other questions on number one? Let's go on to number two then. Elaine, if you can read that in the alternative kindly.
My only problem has been solved. I repeat this over and over to myself today with gratitude and conviction. I have recognized my only problem, opening the way for the remembrance of perfect love to give me perfect love's answer. I have let go of self-deception, and I am only aware of the truth. I have accepted awakening for myself by bringing the problem to the answer, and I can recognize the answer because I have identified the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so summary of that.
So it's
what's
just
it
saying that our problem has been solved. And we need to repeat this to ourselves over and over until it sinks in.
Hmm.
And we recognize there's only one problem. And that's the only way to open up to this perfect love who has the answer. So we have to let go of these untruths and deceptions and accept our awakening.
Hmm. I can recognize the key thing here in terms of the healing modality, healing methodology, is that I must acknowledge the problem. I must see it first clearly. Yeah? So I must identify, acknowledge the problem in order to heal it. That dovetails very nicely with the 12-step program that Alcoholics Anonymous and then other addiction programs based on it use, because the first step in that program, in that 12-step process, is to acknowledge, yes, I have this problem. I am an alcoholic. I am a drug addict. Because unless I recognize the problem, I can't move towards a solution. If I'm in denial of the problem, then I also deny the solution. And this is the methodology of the course. To spiritually bypass or metaphysically ghost over the problem isn't really addressing the problem. So that's key. You've got to really look at the problem as it arises. So the problem of separation arises in many ways, doesn't it? You might experience grief, as you shared earlier, Lynn. You might experience some fear, some attack thoughts, like irritation, frustration, and so on. And that problem is, the problem is just in your mind. You've got to recognize that it's entirely a perceptual problem. So I can recognize the problem, and then I open my way to the solution. Okay, so I have this apparent problem. It's really all in my mind. Although I might be acting it out on the level of form, it's a mental problem. It's a problem of thought and emotion and belief. And once I've seen the problem clearly, that it's really my own separate self-concept that's the problem, then I can let go of that problem. That's what he's saying here. And only then. Which is why there's essentially two steps in forgiveness or letting go. The first is the acknowledgement of the problem. Okay, I've got to look at it honestly, openly, not deny anything, because that's just falsely bypassing, metaphysically ghosting over it, or spiritually bypassing. I've got to really look at it, experience it for a bit, briefly. The briefer the better. Sometimes that needs to go on for a bit longer. And then I'm in a position to let it go, because once I've experienced the pain, the suffering that this problem brings me, and I'm realizing that it's my own problem, I'm creating this, then you open the way for the solution. Which is to let go of the thoughts and the emotions that make up your reactions to the problem, which are really the whole point. The ego's only created the problem so that you can have those thoughts and emotions. So drop those, and you remove all of the underpinning, the support for the ego's thought system. Let go of self-deception. I'm only aware of the truth. Right? I'm no longer deceiving myself about what the problem is, where the problem is. I recognize that it is only in my own mind, and it's only my own belief that's the problem. Whatever the external thing is, it's a circumstance, event that's happening. It's my own belief in it. That's the problem. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I open the way to recognize the answer once I've recognized the problem. Which is why I did this in two lessons, not one. Yesterday's problem, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Step one, I need to recognize what the problem is. my separate identity, my self-concept. So step 2, let me recognize all my problems have been solved, recognizes the answer. All right, so happy with number 1 and 2. Let's go to number 3 then. I don't know if you can read that. And the alternative kindly.
I am entitled to peace today. Am I doing this one sentence at a time? Or the whole thing?
Just read the whole thing in the alternative. You can just read it.
In the-
It's not fair. There's nothing to translate.
Oh, right, yes, Brian. I'm entitled to peace today. A problem that has been resolved cannot trouble me. I will not forget that all problems are the same. Their many forms will not deceive me while I remember this. One problem, one solution. I accept the peace this simple statement brings.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
Just the same thing. Just the same as even when it feels like it's all different problems, all different subjects, it's all the same. Belief in separation.
It's a
That makes
separate
us lose
self.
our peace, separate self, yeah.
Separate self that perceives is the problem, isn't it? You have this separate self concept going on in your mind, which is made up of, at the very core of it, a desire still to be a separate self. And then you have a belief system that is the core of that separate self. And the next level is, okay, so I believe I'm unlovable. I believe I'm a victim of the world. And we've been through these beliefs. It's part of the name your game process. And then you have a bunch of thoughts and emotions that give some reality to that belief. So if you believe you're a victim of the world, then you're going to have thoughts of being unfairly treated, grievances will form quite a big part of your thought system. And the emotions that you experience might be resentment, anger, maybe even hatred, jealousy, rage, and so on. So it's a whole construct built upon one tiny mad belief, a self-concept that doesn't even exist.
But it's massive.
But it's not really, because it's one idea. You see,
but it's the whole idea.
If you look at the layers of it, and you start going into the, oh, it's my perception, and then I've got the layer of emotion, and then thought, and then belief, and it all looks, quite imposing. The ego structures are meant to fool you into believing that it is somehow powerful and even invincible, indestructible. There's no way you're going to get out of the system. But actually, it's very weak. Because at the very core of it, it's not true.
Yeah.
Right? The desire to be a separate self is not true. It's not a true desire, and it has nothing to do with reality at all. So it is unreal. So it seems to be massive, but actually, if you drill it down, our job is to start letting go of the perceptions, the emotions, and the thoughts as they arise. Because what that does is it drills down to a deeper level, doesn't it? And then you start exposing the belief behind them all. Okay, well, if I can start letting go of my anger, my sense of being unfairly treated, of resentment, and all the grievances that go with that, then I can start perceiving, can't start seeing that it's actually my victim identity that's the problem. This is what I've created over and over and over again to perpetuate the idea that I am a separate self and that I can be attacked and hurt and then I need to perhaps retaliate or get angry or do something to seek revenge. Yeah, so it's not, I know it seems to be massive, but it's not actually. It's just one moment at a time, one issue at a time, one problem at a time, apply these teachings. That's what all he's asking us to do. Because as you do that, you start clearing away the space. You're starting to almost tunnel into this. So this is seemingly impenetrable. As you start doing this kind of forgiveness, you start clearing away the space. So you clear away for perception, emotion, and thought to start dissipating. They clear some space, and then what reveals itself is your core belief, which is exactly the process we went through in the art of letting go, of course, and we're going to continue on with the program. So you're exposing that core belief. It's never comfortable when that happens, but that's necessary if you're going to choose to let go and then finally access the level beyond that, which is the prayer of the heart. Prayer to be one again, rather than a separate self. And so it's actually quite simple, and the methodology is quite straightforward. As and when egoic thoughts and emotions arise, you must look at them from the higher awareness that there is something else and choose to let them go. And as you do that, you are drilling in automatically to the core of the ego, and beyond that to the core of your being. Yeah, so does that make sense? Simple lesson, but yeah, any questions? Now's the time to ask them.
No questions.
Elaine?
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's clear.
Right. Okay, so let's do a meditation on this, a longer practice, a lesson. Reclaim the peace. It is yours. Actually experience it. It says, in fact, Elaine, just read the number 4, and then we'll go into the meditation kindly.
In my longer practice periods today, I claim the peace that must be mine when the problem and the answer have been brought together. The problem must be gone because perfect love's answer cannot fail. Having recognized one, I have recognized the other. The solution is inherent in the problem. I am answered and have accepted the answer. I am free.
Thoughts on that?
Well, it's just letting us know that, you can claim your peace right this moment, right now. And then you can go into this perfect love who will solve all your problems.
Yeah, so let's do that in the meditation to actually experience the peace. It's not a theoretical exercise, it's a practical exercise to actually experience the peace that lies beyond all your problems. So work with whatever problems that you currently seem to have, apply the lesson, and try and go beyond it into a deeper peace. Yeah, so let's meditate on this. Okay, so just making yourselves comfortable. Sitting in your favorite meditation posture. Your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Just take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Clenching the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Pulling the energy up your spine to your heart center. Putting one hand on your heart. And draw it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. Recognize that all of your problems must already be solved. So bring any problems to mind. Breathe in the problem-free consciousness or awareness. To every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body. And bring those problems in to awareness briefly to acknowledge them. You don't ghost over the top of them. It's called metaphysically ghosting or spiritually bypassing. Have a sense of the peace. That peace that your acceptance brings be given to you. Allow yourself to receive your reward by sinking inwards. So find this deep peace beyond all problems. Exhale to help you. So you're going to blow out any dark clouds of problems. Imagine they're like dark clouds or black smoke. It's leaving you, so blowing them out. The breeze of your breath. The nothingness they really are. Going, gone. All the stomach into the spine. And rest in this peace. For a few minutes of deep silence. Tell yourself, I recognize that my problems have been solved. There's really nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax. Be still, so breathing in and out through your nose to observe the if there's anything still disturbing your peace, just bring it to mind. Sinking inwards, going deeper. Feel strength of this deep peace. It comes from the assurance that all your problems have been solved. So if anything comes in to disturb this deep peace, observe it. As it's like a dark cloud or black smoke. Breathe into it. So let me recognize my one problem has been solved. This problem that I perceive as non-existent, like all the other problems. Observe whatever the problem may seem to be, the form of it in the world, situation, person, persons involved, places, events, circumstances. And recognize that the only problem is that you think you're a separate self that's now perceiving all these things, experiencing all these things. So recognize that that's your only problem, no matter what form the problem takes. Breathe in the light of your true awareness. Remind yourself of today's lesson. All my problems have been solved already. When you recognize that all my problems have been solved. And recognize my problem has been solved. So you recognize that this problem has already been solved, and so I can experience the peace that that solution brings me. And exhale. Imagine you blowing out dark clouds or black smoke. Any negative thoughts like dark clouds or black smoke. It's leaving you gone. All of that stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And rest. Another minute or two of deep silence in the still calm, peaceful, problem-free state. Yeah, so just gently coming back on this deep connected state into an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. But you're going to carry this problem-free state with you into the rest of your afternoon and evening. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in. And noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And so you pause. Scan your mind for any remaining thought of problems. Anything that's problematic for you. In your mind, notice those problems and say, let me recognize that all my problems have been solved. Not sometime in the future, but right now, because I'm willing to let go of my belief in them. And so I let go of the belief in a separate self. That's how it works. Change your perception, you change your self-concept. So exhale the truth of that on the count of 2. You exhale and have a sense of releasing any of this problematic awareness, any of the thoughts and emotions that go with it, just blowing them out like a dark cloud or black smoke. It's leaving you. It's going, gone. From the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in peace and stillness for a few moments. Connecting with this peaceful state of problem-free awareness. And anchor this awareness in to make it your awareness for the rest of the session, the afternoon. And so said, and so it is done. Now on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just look around, noticing various objects in the room in this very clear, problem-free state of mind. So don't create any problems, it's just pure awareness. Look at another object, notice that it's exactly the same. In this problem-free state, there are no problems. Just an underlying peaceful awareness. You can close your eyes and open them again. Look at another object, randomly selected, so make no attempt to choose any object or avoid any objects. And then just anchor this peaceful state to feelings, peaceful perception of the world in. This is what it means to be awakened or enlightened in the world. To just be free of problems, just to have a clean, clear, problem-free awareness. And that's what it means to be miracle-minded, be awakened, to be in flow. It's all the same. Different pointers to the same state of mind. So when you're in the state of mind, notice, spend a bit of time acknowledging it, because the more you do that, the more it becomes your default state. The more you create an anchor to this state. Neuro-linguistic programming is what anchors. So you can use the breath, you can use the lesson to anchor you into this state. So do that whenever you need to. Top yourself up by listening to one of the short breath break recordings I've sent you, to use the breath and the lesson to just anchor you back into this very peaceful state. And that should keep you in a state of problem-free peace. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. First part of the session, which is the introduction to the lesson and then the lesson. So yeah, let's have a look now at, should we have a look at today's text reading. So let's look at, show you what that is. This is section 2 of chapter 11, called The Invitation to Healing. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so the invitation to healing. 7 paragraphs, and not a particularly long one. So we dive straight into that. Let's have a look at paragraph 1 then. You can read that in the original and the alternative. I think it's Lynn's turn, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. If sickness is separation, or the alternative. If
No, both.
sickness, oh, okay.
Yeah.
If sickness is separation, the decision to heal and to be healed is the first step towards recognizing what you truly want.
And then the alternative down below, number
If
1.
sickness is separation, the decision to heal and to be healed is the first step towards recognizing what I truly want.
So that's it's very, very in alignment with the lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I must recognize the problem. Okay, the decision to heal is the recognition that I need healing, isn't it? You must recognize that you need healing in order to make the decision that I want to be healed.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Every attack is a step away from this. Every attack is a step away from this. And every healing thought brings it closer. Every attack is a step away from this. Every healing thought brings it closer.
Yeah, it's fairly self-explanatory.
The Son of God has both father and son because he is both father and son. The extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love has both source and extension because I am both source and extension. Oh,
and we'll make it it. It's talking about the whole extension because it is, and he emphasizes it with italics, has both father and son because it is both father and son. I.e., the source and the extension are not separate. It's the same awareness. You just use the language. Because in our separated state, it seems that there's a source and then and then an extension of the source. But actually, there's only one awareness.
But then it doesn't make sense of why you're using this father and son.
Well, it only makes sense in a separated state. Remember, he's addressing us in our state of separation. So he's saying, actually you have exactly the same awareness as your source, but you don't recognize that. You think you have another awareness. So the language is designed to kind of coax us back into the one awareness. That is God. That's also our awareness. And to realize that. So he talks about the source and its extension to help us to grasp it. Okay, so there's a source, which is pure awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. Its extension is everyone and everything that has consciousness or awareness. And although we think of ourselves as separate from that awareness, in truth, we're not. So the Father and the Son are really one. The extension and the source are one, which is what he's pointing out here. But when we start off on this journey, we don't believe that.
Okay.
So he meets us where we are. And when you start off with the Course, there's no way, unless you're already enlightened, which is highly unlikely, because why would you be reading it then? That you believe that you are one with your source. You don't.
No.
You believe that you're a separate person, separate individual with your own ideas, identity, problems, desires, ambitions, problems, fears, and a whole set of emotions and a whole life that is some kind of separate life. Everyone believes that, don't they? Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the default program. That's what we get brought up with, conditioned into. So then he's saying to us, okay, well, you believe you're separate, but actually from that belief, can you just start to grasp and understand that you're actually an extension of your source? So that's part of bridging the gap between these so-called realities. If you look at the Holy Trinity idea, where is it? Number 17, I think. So we need the system to kind of bridge the gap. The Holy Spirit is the bridge. It's the intermediary between this world and our egos thinking that this world is real and we're real in it and all our problems are real. And we need a kind of stepping stone to get back to true awareness, the source. So the extension refers to our mind that is seemingly separated in time and space, believing in time and space, which is where we think we are. The source refers to absolute truth, pure formless awareness of perfect love, a pure state of awareness that is quite far removed from our current state. And so to merge those, to get us to realize we are actually this pure formless awareness of perfect love rather than this separated self experiencing all of the experiences in time and space that we've invented, is the job. And he uses the language, okay, you're the extension or the sun to help us to get to some kind of intermediate level. Okay, well, I'm not completely separated from my source. I'm an extension of my source. And ultimately, I'll recognize, if I keep on this path, that the extension or the Son and the Source or the Father are really one. Actually, it's the same awareness. But it takes quite a lot of mind training to start to understand this.
Yeah.
Which is why he just repeats it over and over. And he uses the language to address us where we are and then to hopefully bring us closer back to the truth. Which is why he uses language like the extension and the source. And we've got all of this going on here, perception and forgiveness and miracles and Christ's vision. We call these things letting go or corrections, salvation, awakening. All of it is a language designed to help us to make this journey back to our source and reunite with our source in our mind. Actually, in truth, it's not necessary because you never left. In truth. So at level 1, there's no need to have a son or a father, or the Trinity, in fact, disappears. There's no Trinity in God. There's only God, only this pure formless awareness of perfect love. But in our illusion, the Trinity plays a very useful part, a very useful role in our awakening, because it's the way that we can learn that who we are, that we can reconnect with our source or God. And so all of these ideas that form part of the Trinity, like the Son or the extension, are useful. So remember that the Course is not given to enlightened, awakened beings. It's given to people who are not enlightened and awakened. That's the whole point of the Course. If you were, then there would be no need for the Course. Exactly. You wouldn't need to take the Course because you'd already be there. Now you are there already in truth, but you don't recognize it. That's the problem. You don't realize that you're there. So he has to somehow bridge that gap in our awareness using language, which is why we have all these terms that are not ultimately true, but they point us back to our source. So think of them as signposts on the journey. You take a journey, you don't need the sign. When you arrive at the destination, you don't need the signposts anymore. Or let's make it even more modern, your sat-nav direction. You don't need the sat-nav once you're at the destination. You can switch it off. It's useless. Correct. But if you are seemingly somewhere else and you've got to get to your destination, your sat-nav is incredibly useful for that time of the journey. And that's what the Holy Spirit is. It's not ultimately true or real or necessary once you've arrived, but while you're still on the journey, it's incredibly important. You need the guide, otherwise you're never going to arrive home. You'll just remain lost. And so these analogies, worldly analogies, are there to help you understand what's going on metaphysically. Okay. And this Course is the sat-nav. The Course, the Holy Spirit, everything that happens between here and here. So true perceptions and the true self and the Christ and everything until you arrive in this pure form state of pure formless awareness of perfect love is the sat-nav. And that's what he's training us. He's giving us advanced sat-nav training through this Course. To be able to listen to the guide, because we've blocked out the guide. Think of, again, the sat-nav analogy. You're trying to listen to the sat-nav, but you got the radio on full blast, and it's playing like heavy metal music, and you can't hear the instructions. And so you're getting horribly confused and lost. And Yeshua's saying, well, turn down the music. Start listening to the sat-nav. Turn it down, or change the channel. Change it to, a more peaceful channel that allows you to then hear the instructions of the sat-nav. And amazingly, we seem to have some difficulty doing that because we're addicted to the heavy metal station, which is the ego's, cacophony. He calls, he says the raucous shrieks and sick imaginings of the ego, because it's shrieking and banging, and so we've got to start changing the channel to a quieter, more peaceful channel that allows us to hear that sat-nav coming through. Yeah, I mean the analogy. So let's say we use a tech analogy. You've got your phone on SatNav, and you put it on Bluetooth, and it's connecting to the radio. You've got a connector, and you've got to take it off the radio station and tune it to the Bluetooth and to the phone to hear it, haven't you? Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the instructions that you need. So that's kind of what the course is doing. It's helping us to tune, to just press the right buttons and say, okay, I'll tune into the right channel so that I can actually hear the guidance, so that I can get the directions that I need to get to navigate my way back home.
Yeah.
And all of this mind training is designed to help you to start tuning into the right channel, tuning out of the wrong channels that distract you and disturb your peace and are not going to get you home, just going to keep you lost, driving around forever in the illusion, listening to the banging or the raucous shrieks or whatever channel you tune to. Or you can tune to the one channel, which has the sat-nav, which is going to get you home. When you state it like this, it should be obvious, shouldn't it? Like, well, why doesn't everyone just tune into that channel? But there's so many other channels that we've forgotten that there is actually that capacity. That channel is there. We've forgotten that it's even there. We've forgotten how to tune into it. And so the mind training is to teach you, okay, first of all, he has to teach us that it's there, because there is a sat nav, there is a guidance system, and you can tune into it. And this is what he's saying here, that you must make the decision to heal and to be healed. You must make the decision to tune in to that channel, the healing channel, the healing station, that has the guidance step by step for you to go home and return from your lost state to your home destination. Okay, so hopefully these analogies are helpful.
Yeah.
They just kind of come to me, because it illustrates. Like, okay, yeah, so I can kind of grasp it maybe better.
Yeah.
From worldly analogy, which is why Yeshua taught in parables. So I guess these are modern day parables.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're working with. We understand what how that works. So then, okay, this works in a similar way.
Yeah.
All right, so we carry on. I think you were number 5.
Number 5. And I am aware of myself as pure formless awareness of perfect love, because in my perfect understanding of it, I know there is only one awareness.
Yeah, and the original is, and you will yourself to him, because, so to read the original and then read the alternative. This will be an interesting one to see how the alternative clarifies this.
You will yourself to him, because in your perfect understanding of him, you know there is but one will.
I'm not sure you read number 4, actually, so read that as well. Not having and being.
What, original first?
Yeah.
To unite having and being is to unite your will with his, for he wills you himself. To unite having and being is to unite my awareness with its, for it is aware of me as itself.
Yeah, maybe we need to just change that with perfect loves. For it is aware of me as itself. That's what he means by, for he wills you himself. You just change the language and it can make quite a big difference in your understanding. He wills you himself. What does that mean? It means that it is aware of me as itself. I am that awareness. So I am aware of myself as pure formless awareness of perfect love, because in my perfect understanding of it, I know that there is only one awareness. Rather than, and you will yourself to him, because in your perfect understanding of him, you know there is but one will. That's what this means, but the language can make it difficult to grasp. Do you
Yeah.
find that if you read number 5?
Yeah.
You will
Yeah.
yourself to him, because in your perfect understanding of him, you know there is but one will. Okay, as opposed to read number 5 again.
Yeah, because at first it actually
Yeah.
feels just like a load of words spinning around in my head.
Yeah.
And I am aware of myself as pure formless awareness of perfect love, because in my perfect understanding of it, I know there is only one awareness. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, lots more.
Hmm. Okay, and then number 6.
Yet when you attack any part of God and his kingdom, your understanding is not perfect, and what you really want is therefore lost to you. Yet when I attack any part of pure formless awareness of perfect love and its state, my understanding is not perfect, and what I really want is therefore lost to me.
Okay, and then just read it in the alternative from the top.
If sickness is separation, the decision to heal and to be healed is sorry, the dog's dreaming. I don't know if you can hear her.
It's okay.
Oh God. To be healed is the first step towards recognizing what I truly want. Oh dear. Every attack is a step away from this, and every healing thought brings it closer. The extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love has both source and extension, because it is both source and extension. To unite having and being is to unite my awareness with perfect love's, for it is aware of me as itself, and I am aware of myself as pure formless awareness of perfect love, because in my perfect understanding of it, I know there is only one awareness. Yet when I attack any part of pure formless awareness of perfect love and its state, my understanding is not perfect, and what I really want is therefore lost to me.
Okay. So what's he saying there?
We recognize that we need to heal, then we're on the start of that journey to healing. So I just keep reading up. Yet when I attack any part of your forms, perfect.
Yeah, it's kingdom.
Yes,
Yes. State of pure formless awareness. Any part of pure formless awareness. You're really attacking the state. So whenever you attack anyone, what are you doing? You're attacking your state of pure formless awareness, aren't you? Think about it like that.
so like reinforcing the feeling of separation.
Yeah. So you see, understand why all attack is self-attack, because You have an
Yeah.
attack thought. You direct it towards someone else.
Yeah.
Feel that you are separating yourself in that attack thought from your own true awareness, your pure formless awareness. So it becomes then an attack on that awareness, which is why all attack is self-attack.
Yeah, because you're believing you're separate to whoever
Yeah.
you're projecting it as well. Yeah.
Now you've got another awareness going on that's seemingly separate from this pure formless awareness. It covers it over, and your ego, being the separate self, says this is now the truth. This is your awareness. This is what you are.
Yeah.
The attack is real, and the grievances are justified, and the entire world, based on this illusion of a separate self, is real. And all of it is just an attack on your true awareness. And therefore, your understanding is not perfect, it's very imperfect. And what I really want is therefore lost to me. What you really want is this awareness, but that's now lost, covered over by the other awareness of the ego, which is awful by comparison. And so it's very simple. This is what this course, the language, is pointing us to a very, 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 very simple truth. And the more you study it, the more you realize just how simple it actually is. It's just you kind of got to get your mind around the language, and then you've got to work through your own ego, which resists this message hugely, to get to the understanding of the simplicity of what he's saying. It was taken me 18 years, still learning. But when I first read this, I didn't have a clue.
No.
I would have read this. And you will yourself to him, because in your perfect understanding of him, you know there is but one will. And it probably would have, okay, it's kind of nice
Yeah.
sounding,
No,
but
that's
what does
makes
it
my
really
head
mean?
spin.
What does it really mean? Yeah. That's so the deeper meaning come with the understanding. Okay, it's just one awareness. It means that actually there is only one awareness. I am that awareness. My source is that awareness. So I'm not separate from my source. I am that awareness. I am that I am, which is so simple. And there is nothing else. Everything else is just a delusion that therefore is not real, and any other awareness needs to be denied in order to accept this one awareness. That's the simple teaching of this course. The process and the practice of that acceptance is the journey, is the practice, and is the journey. But actually, it's a very, very simple idea. Okay. So happy with number one?
Yeah.
All right. Elaine, happy with number one? Any questions on that? Otherwise, let's move on to number two. If you can read that in the alternative until number 4, and then read it in the both kindly. Elaine, are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay.
Therefore, healing becomes a lesson in understanding. And the more I practice it, the better teacher and learner I become. If I have denied truth, what better witness to its reality could I have than those who have been healed by it? But be sure to count myself among them, for in my willingness to join them is my healing accomplished. Every correction that I accomplish speaks to me of the source of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Every healing thought that I accept, either from my companion or in my own mind, teaches me that I am the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Read it from number 4 in the original as well as the alternative.
Right.
Number 2
Just
translation.
see, yeah. Every miracle
miracle.
that you accomplish speaks to you of the fatherhood of God. Every correction that I accomplish speaks to me of the source of pure formless awareness, of awareness, where are you?
Also perfect love, yeah. Just well short to that.
Of the source of perfect love.
Mm.
Every healing thought that you accept, either from your brother or in your own mind, teaches you that you are God's son. Every healing thought that I accept, either from my companion or in my own mind, teaches me that I am the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love. In every hurtful thought you hold, wherever you perceive it, lies the denial of God's fatherhood and of your sonship. In every hurtful thought that I hold, wherever I perceive it, lies the denial of the source of pure formless awareness of perfect love and my extension of it. Read it again.
Yeah, you can read an alternative.
Therefore, healing becomes a lesson in understanding, and the more I practice it, the better teacher and learner I become. If I have denied truth, what better witnesses to its reality could I have than those who have been healed by it? But I am sure to count myself among them, for in my willingness to join them is my healing accomplished. Every correction that I accomplish speaks to me of the source of perfect love. Every healing thought that I accept, either from my companion or in my own mind, teaches me that I am the extension of perfect love. In every hurtful thought I hold, wherever I perceive it, lies the denial of the source of pure formless awareness of perfect love and my extension of it. So it's just saying the healing comes from our understanding. The proof is when we can see the healing from somebody.
Mm.
And if we don't, then we've denied the truth. So this saying that, any hurtful, negative thought we hold, wherever we perceive it, we are denying our source of perfect love. So it's just saying the proof is there. Just understand it, and then finally you'll experience it, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I don't see a lot of proof of it in this day and age. But yeah, you occasionally do, not often.
Yeah, well, remember, the world is the denial of this.
Yeah,
So
oh yes.
the world is designed to prove that the ego's story is true. But we can't believe the proof that the ego gives us. Can we? It's
No. And we can't understand it from our ego self.
No, you'll never, because the ego is telling you, well, look, the proof is evident. Look at the world. It's this and it's that. It's anything but pure formless awareness of perfect love. Anything but that. So, that's reality. Come on, you're kidding yourself. There's no love. This is reality.
Yeah.
A very depressing one. The ego tells you this is all there is.
But deep down we know
But
that there
fortunately,
is,
it's all a pack of
yeah,
lies.
yeah, we do know
Deep
deep
down, we
down that
know that there
yeah.
is something else, that
Oh
this is a
yes,
lie. There
definitely.
must be something else. You know, it has to be something else.
Well, just when we're in that
Because
quiet,
our
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I find it when you're in that very quiet awareness away from the hustle and bustle and stress, and then you can feel there's something else. Stillness it's getting to that stillness, isn't it? And that's there where you'll find it. Yeah.
So that experience, which every human being has had at some point, some sense of peace, some sense of something beyond this world, tells us that this world is not all there is. Because otherwise, how could you have that experience?
Yeah. But you get more of the aggravation experience than the stillness. It takes great discipline. But then sometimes it just happens of its own fruition. Yeah. You can just be sitting looking at a little bird and there's the quietness. Yeah. So, but it's, yeah, need a few more of those moments.
Well, you can practice. So your practice is,
oh,
I
yes,
can
I
be
do.
fully present and aware and allow the stillness to permeate through my perceptions. So that what infuses all of my sense perceptions is this underlying stillness. And that's what it means to be awakened or enlightened in the world, that everything is infused with this peaceful awareness that underlies all of your perceptions, and you never lose touch with that awareness. So you can still, on one level, carry on, and you can be speaking and acting and moving around and doing what you do, but you don't lose touch with the underlying peace that is always there.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just sometimes some of us are just very sensitive people. So when there's things going on in the world that are not pleasant, this more sensitive individual tends to react, which is me.
Yeah. But that sensitivity is entirely trainable.
Yeah.
Well, that sensitivity is something that you can change. You don't have to remain sensitive and reactive if you train your mind.
Well, it's difficult because, like, for example, I have a friend who's just had months and months of suffering, depression. It's awful. It's awful. And to the point I'm thinking, I can't, it's so miserable. And I think, why are you being so sensitive? Tune into your source and just be supportive for her. But every time I speak to her, I feel awful. She's suffering. You know, my friend Sally. And it's that sensitivity that I find I'm still in the ego. So it is a big test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sensitivity is indicative that there's still ego.
Yeah, well, I just don't like seeing her suffering. I think it's really so sad.
Yeah, but you make the suffering real.
Well, that's it. Exactly, yes. Well, this is what the Course is saying, that this...
So when you perceive it as, oh, it's so sad, and then it engenders your sadness, and you feel a negative emotion. What you're doing is you allowing the ego to transfer from her to you, into your mind.
Yeah,
and it's exactly like a virus. That's what it wants.
Oh, it's just unbelievable.
So then you have to be really aware, like, okay, well, if I'm dealing with Sally and I'm seeing her or speaking to her on the phone or whatever, I have to be really aware of those emotions coming in, because that's my own ego that's using the situation to reinforce itself. That's all that's happening.
Yeah.
See that?
Oh, yes.
Not really her. It's your own identification with what she's represents, which is sadness and depression, suffering, and sickness, and all of the negativity of the ego, and it represents that to symbolic of it in your dream, and then it engenders these feelings, which is of course what the ego wants it to do.
It does a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sorry for her What can I do
Yeah,
to help? Oh my goodness, it really
that's
is.
sympathy. Remember, we discussed
Yeah,
sympathy
no.
versus empathy.
And I
Empathy is
fall
like,
for it
I
every time.
understand, you understand with empathetic understanding from a higher awareness where she's coming
Yes.
from, but you don't feel those negative
The
emotions yourself.
sympathy, yeah, I know.
Whereas sympathy, you dive in with her into the pool of, and you're swimming in the pool
Yes.
of negativity.
Yeah.
And then you can't really help her because
No.
you're in the mess with her.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, think of someone drowning, again, good analogy. You can't help them if you jump in with them and you drown with them.
No,
You
no,
have
it's
to
just,
stay in the boat and be able to, extend your hand into the water to grab them. So that's the empathy. Okay, I understand your position. I'm going to do something about it.
yeah.
But I'm not joining you there. And I have to pull you up then. Obviously, this is all metaphoric. You have to try and raise her awareness up to your awareness, where into the lifeboat, where she'll be okay. Because in the lifeboat, which is true awareness, she won't be drowning in her own sick emotions. And
I've tried everything. I've just lost, sending nice, kind messages. Come with me to do a trusted house sitter. There's a really good device out to help you with your depression.
But Elaine, so let's look at it. Have you tried really letting go yourself? You see,
No.
it's not really about Sally and going, oh, well, I
No.
need to do this on the level of form to help her. It's
Yeah.
about, can I really let go of all of those negative emotions that she engenders in me? Because
Yeah.
that's what forgiveness was.
Right. Yeah.
And you haven't yet, if you're
No.
honest.
No, I haven't. No. That's
So
one of my
that's
tender
the task.
thoughts. Yeah.
That's the task,
I have.
is to really let that go. And the way you'll test that is go and visit her and then see what happens. See, so that could be your spiritual practice for the next 6 months. Go see
Well,
her
I
once
would
a
do
week.
that. I will do that, but
Yeah.
she's not seeing anybody. She's locked in herself away, so I can't see her. I've said I'll come and see you. She doesn't want to see
Okay, well then
anybody.
call her.
I
Call her and
have
speak to her.
done it all. Message, called her.
And when that happens, yeah. And whenever this is happening, then become aware of the thoughts and emotions. Really be very vigilant of those thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, they're not nice. I feel very sad.
Yeah. And so it comes up and you go, okay, I'm aware of this, but what's aware of it?
Okay.
What's aware of it is the truth.
The source is aware of it, but the ego is starting to make a story of it and very sad and, oh, what's going to happen to her? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's when you apply the day's lesson to it, or you could do a 10-step process, or you could work through the instrument for peace. You go, okay, so I'm going to work with those emotions and I'm going to let them go. And it's not about helping Sally, it's about helping myself to let go using this experience with Sally.
Yeah.
And then that's the best thing you can do for her. Then you can really let go of that. Then you're in an empathetic state. Whatever guidance you get in that state will be the right thing to do for her.
Yeah, because I'm getting into desperate mode. Try this, try that, do this.
Yeah, but that's not going to work if you're making it real. You see, that's trying to solve the problems, as today's quote says, the significant problems we face. Okay, so Sally's a significant problem in your life at the moment, cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's to remember that. And the situation is happening to help you to let go of your own ego and take another step in your awakening.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. If you do that, then you will help her to take the next step in her own awakening, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You to know. You see, you're trying to control the situation again.
Yes. But
But
yeah,
actually what you need to do is let go and let the Holy Spirit guide you. So you're not in control anymore. The Holy Spirit will tell you exactly what to do or not
yeah,
what to do.
yeah,
Maybe you don't
yeah.
do anything. Who knows? But that wouldn't matter because you've learned the lesson from the experience. If you really, your peace is unshakable. Whenever you deal with Sally, then you've learned the lesson.
Right. Right. Yeah, thank you for that.
So use it as a barometer. Okay, may not happen straight away. This might be a process for a year or two or more. Who knows? But you know, that's what it's there for. Sally is in your life to help you to awaken from your own ego and your emotional, psychological and emotional attachment to what she symbolizes.
Oh, yeah,
Aging, sickness, death, depression, sadness, you know, all of the negativity of life. She symbolizes that for you, and you react to her because you still believe in those things on a level. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I've always been a bit that type. I've always seemed to get the ones that have, you know, dreadful stories. I don't know why I do attract those kinds of people. So there is a big lesson. Yeah.
It is a big lesson, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
That's what it's there for. So instead of trying to fix Sally, change your mind about the situation. Seek not to change the world. Seek to change your mind about the world.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn the lesson. And then on the level of form, whatever needs to happen for Sally's healing can happen through you. You're just an instrument of the Holy Spirit.
But I need to let
which
go of
could
all
then
the
use you much more effectively.
I need to let go of all this sort of sympathy and all that stuff. Yeah.
Sympathy, and then trying to fix it. Say, okay, I'm not going to try and fix it.
No.
Leave that. It hasn't worked, has it? I mean, whatever you've done hasn't worked.
Doesn't.
So
No.
leave that and go, okay, I'm not going to try and fix it. Elaine can't fix the problem. All I can do is correct my perception of the situation.
Yeah.
Let me focus on what I can control, which is that perception. And can I remain clean and clear and aware whenever I'm dealing with Sally, and not go into sadness and any kind of fear or desperation energy or whatever's triggering. You know, you'll know what that feels like.
Yeah.
You know, it's happening.
Yeah. It's
whatever that is,
it's
that
not
feeling.
pleasant,
No, can I, as it arises, can I let that go, knowing that it's not true, knowing that it's just the ego's using the situation to engender that feeling, because that's where it exists.
Yeah.
Knowing the game
Still
that it's
there.
playing is you know, then allows you to let it go. So, okay, well, I'm being played for a fool by the ego here. It's using the situation to confirm its existence in my mind and make me unhappy. And there's no real reason for that.
No.
That's just my choice to believe in its story or not. I don't have to believe that. And I can remain unaffected. The ego might say, oh, well, that's not very, you know, kind to Sally. You need to feel her pain. But that's your old pattern. That's your old way. It's like, no, I mean, you don't need to feel her pain, because if you feel everyone's pain, you'll never be free yourself.
No. Yeah. It's true.
That's probably been the story of your life. You know, you feel people's pain deeply, and then
it's been the story of my
you're
life,
in pain and suffering all the time because of that.
Yeah.
Well, so she's giving you a chance to correct that lifelong error.
Yeah.
That's why it's in your experience right now.
Yeah.
Which is very helpful, because that you have to correct that error. You have to correct all errors to awaken. That error has to be looked at and let go of, as all other errors do. So if you focus on that, right, that's your one function. in the situation is to let go of your errors. That means you're going to perceive it correctly. That means you're going to know who you are in and
It's interesting
through the
because
situation. That's your function. Focus
it's
on that,
interest-
and whatever
yeah.
you're required to do will come from that awareness.
It's interesting when you see an animal suffering, there's an awful lot more you can do. But when it's a human, it's so complex. Helping a human is just completely different to an animal.
Mm. Yeah.
Normally, I get
Yes.
really good outcome with the rescues, but with
Mm.
people, no, I
Mm.
don't. I don't actually.
Mm. Because the same approach won't work. You've really got to let go of your own stuff that's coming up. With animals,
Yeah.
it's not as
No,
needed.
it's not. It's actually very rewarding with an animal.
Yeah. But with humans, they have these, thick egos,
Mm.
quite entrenched, deep-seated egos, and then of course that triggers your ego.
Yeah,
And
you
so
can't
both of
rescue
your
a
ego-
human. Yeah, there's no way you can rescue a human. They
Oh,
have
you
to
can-
rescue themselves. Yeah.
You can demonstrate to her what a healed, awakened person is. That's what you can
Yeah.
do.
Right.
So you can demonstrate that awareness and that unconditional love that comes from an awakened mind, which flows to her. And through the demonstration, she may be inspired to follow your example. She may say,
Yeah.
one day, help me. Okay, I've had enough of the suffering and
Yeah.
all this depression. Like, Elaine, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, it's the only way. Yeah,
Or maybe
because
not.
who knows? Yeah, but
Yeah,
at
the
the
door
moment,
has to be open from the inside.
Mm. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
human beings, you can't force anyone to change.
No.
Because they have so-called free will. So you have to wait for the invitation from the inside. So I'll tell you a story about Byron Katie. I might have mentioned it before, but it's very indicative of this kind of approach, illustrates it very well. So she'd gone into a rehab institution. She had her awakening experience, which we discussed. She woke up one morning with a cockroach crawling over her leg, and she just kind of saw it with pure awareness. She was like, there's nothing to be horrified about or terrified about. And she looked in the mirror and, wow, like, who's this person looking back at me in the mirror? I don't even recognize her. So she went into awareness, pure awareness. And that seemed to sustain. It wasn't just like momentary
Lucky.
experience. That
Very
changed
lucky.
her fundamentally. So she
Yeah.
comes out of the rehab place, goes back in, and of course, all of the byproduct of her previous completely messed up, dysfunctional ego is there still. Her daughter's a mess, going out, partying, alcohol, drugs, the whole story. And fortunately, from this awareness, she was guided not to say, well, young lady, you're grounded, you can't go out again, because that wouldn't have worked, would it?
No.
All her daughter would have done was God forbid it. So, well, you did it. She was addicted to codeine and alcohol. So daughter would say, you hypocrite. Like, how can you say I can't do it when you did it? So her wisdom, higher wisdom, awareness guided her simply to be there as a loving presence. So every night her daughter would go out. She didn't ground her. She didn't say anything except to wait up for her daughter every night, just to make sure she got home. So she would wait up till 2, 3 in the morning if needed, make sure her daughter's home, safe. Didn't say anything, not a comment. How's that for awareness? Not like, oh, I see you've been out on the piss again. Oh, what have you taken tonight? How dare you, young lady? All of that stuff. No, none of that judgment. Just an unconditionally loving presence that demonstrated to her daughter that presence so clearly in a way that no judgmental ego could have. And eventually the door opened from the inside. So 2, 3 weeks into this process, her daughter finally said to her, Mom, help me. And then she could help her because she'd had the invitation. But she had to do the unconditionally loving thing for 2 or 3 weeks to get there, to demonstrate demonstrate unconditional love just by holding that loving awareness, no matter what to do or to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
So that's
do
the
quite.
example. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I can't, because Sally won't see anybody. She'll not, you know, I'll say, come on, let's meet up. No, she doesn't want to meet up. She doesn't want to go out. So
no, but
I'll
can
have
you?
to.
But Elaine, can you hold her in that loving awareness, even when you're not seeing her? So you can't help her. You can't do anything. You know,
Oh yeah.
hold that
Oh
loving
yes, I
awareness.
can do that.
That's all.
Yes,
Without
do that.
without any of the negativity and the pain and the suffering
Right.
and sympathy. You know,
Okay.
so hold that unconditionally loving awareness. That's all you have to do.
Right.
And maybe
Yeah.
if you do that consistently, the miracle will be that she actually reaches out to you, or something opens in
Right.
her.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Right.
but you can't control that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well,
It's not up
I
to
think
you
that's
to
all
control.
I can do now. Yeah, there's nothing.
Exactly. Hold the loving awareness. That means you've got to
Yeah.
let go of any negativity that comes up for you.
Mm.
And you're doing what you can do to help it.
Yeah.
And then the miracle may just happen.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm going to do, because
Mm.
I'm at the end of my tether now. So
Yeah.
I
So when
haven't-
you know the ego doesn't work, you've got to go, okay, maybe I've got it all wrong.
well, I have, yeah, because there's nothing working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying too hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying exactly. When actually all you have to do is let go of your own stuff, hold that loving awareness. You don't have to take any action at all except to change your mind. Seek not to
Yeah.
change the world, but seek to change your mind about it.
Yeah.
Fundamental principle of the course.
So when she's talking in such,
And then
you
it's
know,
so
like,
simple. That's the miraculous solved problem.
yeah, I mean, the bits when she
Mm.
says she just takes a sleeping tablet at night, and then she says she just prays and hopes she doesn't wake up. And I just say to her, please don't say such things. The things she says are just awful.
Mm.
So I have to learn to be in this loving awareness, even when she's saying all these awful things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm reacting and feeling so
me.
sad when she says
Yeah.
such things. So
Yeah.
I have to learn to
to go, okay, that's just the ego pinging me again. It's trying to get me to believe in the sadness and the sickness and the depression and everything that she represents.
Yeah.
So it's advanced mind training whenever you interact with it. Okay. So I'm dealing with the ego. It's trying to trigger me. It's trying to get me to believe in its thought system. I need to be really vigilant and not allow that. Stay in a clean, clear, loving awareness, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what she
That's
says,
all
no
I
matter
can
what she
do.
does.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Exactly. And
Yeah.
if you're in that awareness, maybe you're just silent, maybe some words come, maybe
Right.
they don't. It's not really up to you to decide. You know, so you
No.
go into every interaction with her and just, okay, I'm going to hold that space. They say holding space. That's what it means. You hold that awareness. I'm holding the space for you. Okay, so you hold a loving awareness for her.
Yeah.
Whatever she shares is being shared in that space of loving, empathetic awareness. And whatever needs to be said will be said through you, not Elaine, the ego, trying to decide what to say.
Trying to fix everything, yeah.
But the spirit that comes from that awareness, pure formless awareness, comes from that awareness, will say whatever is required.
Right.
And that's how you do this. That's how you truly let go and you allow the miracle to happen, because you are no longer doing it. Elaine is no longer involved. It's this higher awareness. You've trained your mind just to tune in to that channel and allow that awareness to come through you. And then where's Elaine? You see? And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
She's not there. Elaine is not there anymore. There's another awareness that's now become you. And the more you do that, the more you disidentify from the fearful, worrying, fretting, fix-it Elaine character, the more you awaken to that clean, clear, true awareness that you are, which then you're inviting it in, then that starts to become your default self. Instead of the Elaine character, you're replacing it every time you do this with that awareness, which is what this is all about.
Yeah.
It's that transformation from the limited self-concept of the ego into this higher awareness. That's the whole point of everything. And so if you do that and Sally remains the same, it's not a failure, it's a success. You've succeeded in using the situation for what it's really for, which is your awakening.
Right.
And on some level that will help her, but that's not your job. That's the Holy Spirit's job.
I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Yeah.
No, you don't know. You know, so this is letting go then of the attachment to the outcome.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay,
I have to do it. Yeah. I have to do
attached
it
to any outcome. Whether she heals or she doesn't, or she lives for another 10 years or she commits suicide, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Exactly. My job is not to control things on the level of form. My job is to be in this awareness, in the present moment, when I'm with her.
Awareness and just sending out.
And whenever I'm thinking about it, to be in awareness. That's my job. And that's my only job.
Yeah. Pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Remember, course quote, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement, the at-one-ment for herself. That's it. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So when you're in that clean, clear, loving awareness, you are accepting the at-one-ment for yourself in that moment. That's all you have to do. And if you need to say something or do something, it will come from that awareness. The guidance will come from that state of mind, from that awareness. Which is how you do this. So you're not in charge anymore. It's higher awareness. The Holy Spirit is in charge. And it's just using your mind and your body and your voice and whatever to do its work in the world.
Right.
And you become an instrument of loving awareness in the world.
Yeah.
Through your practice of letting go of the needy, fearful, reactive Elaine that's been your lifelong pattern. And she's giving you the opportunity to do that. So then be grateful for it. Like, hey, I'm getting exactly the opportunity that I need to awaken, to take my next step in my awakening journey. Great. And Sally is presenting me with that. She represents freedom to you. Freedom from time and space and pain and suffering and misery and sickness and death. So instead of reacting, she is ticket to freedom. That's how you got to perceive it.
Yeah.
And then instead of feeling depressed, anxious, or sad, you go, no, this is actually here happening for me, for my awakening, for my freedom. So I need to be very grateful to Sally for this amazing opportunity that she's giving me. You see how you completely turn it around?
Interesting way to look at it, yes. Yeah,
the only way to look at it sanely.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna be sad.
No, it's been months and months now. It's just gone on and on and on and on.
And then it's a continuous source of sadness.
It is.
For you, the Elaine character, which every time you go into that sad state, you identify again with the Elaine character. You see?
Yeah.
And that makes the character real every time you do that. So the ego is using the situation to reinforce its own identity.
Yeah.
And defend it. And as long as it's doing that, can you see that she won't heal? Because her being in this sick, depressed state is useful for your ego. So then you're not actually trying to heal her. Your ego is actually trying to keep her exactly where she is.
Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, well, I do now, but it's not the intention, that's for sure. I'd love to see a happy Sally
but not the
gig.
conscious intention, but subconsciously. So that's why, can you see why none of your efforts have
No, I
worked?
haven't.
Because actually underlying it, your ego doesn't want her to heal. So it's going to sabotage everything that you try to do in and through its guidance.
Mm.
It's the ultimate self-saboteur. So I'll guide you to try and fix the problem, but actually, I don't really want you to fix the problem, so I'm going to sabotage it.
Well, that's
And that explains why,
certainly, no,
whatever we do in the ego doesn't work.
yeah. But deep down, obviously, I wanted to heal, but that's coming from my awareness, the loving awareness. I would love her to heal, but the ego obviously must,
But
like this sabotage thing.
I think what you
Never thought of it
you've
like
got to
that.
perceive that she is already healed, right? This is the awareness. She is already there.
Yeah.
If you can stay in that state of loving awareness, she's already there. Then you hold that space for her. Then you pull her up into that awareness. You see how it works.
Yeah, well, I shall be doing that from now on in because, it's our only hope. And my only hope.
That's your only hope. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to say my hope.
You're in the shit together.
We
The
are.
truth of the matter. It's like she's just a mirror of your own ego. That's the truth of the matter. She represents that part of your mind that is unhealed. So you heal that part of your mind, you help her to heal that unhealed part of her of her mind. And you realize then that it's the same mind. It's only one mind healing. You're not really separate in any way. It's the same mind that's healing of its sick belief in separation and coming into the awareness that actually you're not separate, that you have the same awareness, which is the one awareness that is God's awareness. And so you heal the separation.
Well, I shall do that. That's for sure.
Good. Yeah, well, it's a practice. I mean, it won't always be easy.
Keep practicing.
You're facing down your ego whenever you face her, even if you're not physically there. If you're just thinking about it.
Oh yeah, it's just sadness comes up. You just think, what's going to become of her? Yeah.
Just think about it. So that's okay. So that's the practice, all right? So now instead of dwelling in that sadness or distracting yourself, go, oh well, I'm feeling sad, so I'll go for a walk. Or I'm feeling sad, I'll distract myself and I'll do something. No, sit with it and go, okay, so I'm going to let this go and I'm not going to move until I have let it go and I'm feeling okay again.
Yeah.
And then you're confronting the ego directly and you're letting it go as it arises. You're recognizing the problem as it arises and you claiming the solution. And that's your mind training. That will undo your ego faster than anything else.
Okay, well, I shall try.
Yeah.
Well, Elaine.
So don't you try. Ask the.
Yeah, I was just going to say yes. I realize.
Well, the trying is part of the problem. Elaine will try. Yeah, I know you're a great tryer. Huge tryer, but it doesn't work because it's Elaine.
No. Yes. Yeah.
It's Elaine that's trying. It's not Elaine that needs to try. You got to say, "Show me." Right?
And just be quiet. Yeah, to find stillness and quiet.
Let me go into this loving awareness. My only job is to be willing to let go. Right? So that's your only job. I need to be willing to let go of what is blocking my loving awareness. If I can just be willing and keep being willing and keep doing that, then I'm inviting the Holy Spirit to come in, which doesn't try. The Holy Spirit simply does. It simply does things. It's not in the trying energy
department. Yeah.
So Elaine the trier is a big part of your identity, isn't it?
It is.
So that's what you got to collapse. Okay, I'm not trying anymore. I'm living by the grace of God, and everything is actually effortless because it's just happening through me, for me and my awakening and others' awakening. It's happening through me. And actually, it's effortless. When you're in that state, that's the flow state. There's no trying.
Yeah. As
Yoda said to Luke Skywalker, I don't know if you've watched the Star Wars movies, but there's some brilliant dialogue there. And so he says to Luke, He's got to raise his aircraft, his craft has crashed into a swamp. Yeah.
Mm.
So he's now got to raise it up with his mind. And he's struggling. He's like, oh, it's too big. And so he says, well, and so then Yoda gives him a lesson in like, well, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, basically, because they're not too big. It's just in your mind that it's too big. And so then Luke says, okay, well, I'll try. And he says, no, there's no try. Do or do not.
Mm.
There's no try. So you do it or you don't, or you do not. So you do it. You let go, and then you
Do it
open yourself.
regardless of the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So your only job, and this is where the simplicity of the teaching is in that moment to let go of whatever negative thoughts and emotions are rising. That's it. Period. That's all you've got to do. Because
Yeah.
if you do that, everything else will follow. You don't need to worry about the actions and the outcomes and none of it. You just need to focus on letting go in that moment. That's the one thing that we need to do.
Yeah.
Very simple, very straightforward,
Mm.
but yet it's the hardest thing.
Well,
Because you've
I'll
got to
just do
face
it.
your ego's
Well,
negative thoughts and
there'll be
emotions directly.
there'll be certain
then let
sadnesses
go.
that come up. Yeah. No, it does every now and again. So I'll
But
bring
the
it
more
to
you
the
face
surface.
it, you go, okay, but it's just sadness again. It's just that old chestnut of sadness, and it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
And it's an illusory feeling because it doesn't last. It comes and it goes. You know? So how can it be real?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it rises and then it can fade away and pass away.
Yeah.
Last.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more you think that, the more you go, well, I'm perceiving it correctly. It's illusory. It's just an insubstantial feeling. It has no substance, no reality. And I can just let it pass.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more you de-energize the ego, the more it will just pass. You go, well, I'm actually quite good at this. It's just easy just to let whatever thoughts and emotion that arises just fade away, just pass away into the nothingness that it really is. And this quiet, peaceful presence replaces it.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's very comprehensive. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
Lynn still with us? We spent a long time on that.
I think so. Lynn, you still there? Yeah, so let's go back into number 3, I think. It's Lynn's turn. Lynn, are you still there? So let's go to mute. You muted, just so you know. Okay, maybe Lynn's not there. I don't know. Lynn, you there? No, there's no way Lynn is. So
Yeah,
let's.
might have fallen. Yeah, because of a long
She
time on
might
the
have
topic.
fallen asleep, or she's gone out, or whatever. So
Yeah.
if you can read number 3.
Yeah. In the alternative.
Yeah. God's Son will become perfect love's extension. It's the only
Okay.
significant translation there.
And denial is as total as love. I cannot deny part of myself because the rest will seem to be separate and therefore without meaning. And being without meaning to me, I will not understand it. To deny meaning is to fail to understand. I can heal only myself, for only perfect love's extension needs healing. I need it because I do not understand myself and therefore know not what I do. Having forgotten my true awareness, I do not know what I really want.
Okay, then read it from the top in the alternative.
Well, are we reading it again? Yeah. And denial is as total as love. I cannot deny part of myself because the rest will seem to be separate and therefore without meaning. And being without meaning to me, I will understand it. To deny meaning is to fail to understand. I can heal only myself, for only perfect love's extension needs healing. I need it because I do not understand myself, and therefore do not know what I am doing. Having forgotten my true awareness, I do not know what I really want. So it's just saying we can't deny our true self, because the rest will seem to be separate without meaning.
Hmm.
So we'll not understand it if we're without meaning. And so we've forgotten our true self, so we don't really know what we want. We're just stuck in this separate meaning, which is, illusory.
Therefore, do not know what I'm doing. So basically, you're clueless. You don't know what you're doing. Because if you don't even know who you are, how can you know what you're doing? You see, that's the problem.
Right. We're just guided by
You
this.
think you're something you're not. So anything that you think and say and do in the false identity that you think you are, but you're not really, must then be clueless. You don't have no idea what you're doing. Because that's not who you are.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I really want. And healing happens when you recognize that. So it's very humbling. You have to humble yourself to be healed, don't you? So I don't actually have a clue. I don't know anymore. And that only happens when you suffer it.
Yeah.
You go, okay. They're like, I've tried my own way and I'm at my wit's end and I just like,
and
okay.
the older we get, we realize that, when we're younger, we're full of knowledge. Yeah. I mean, my friend Jackie, before she passed away at 73, her final words is, I know nothing. That's what she said. I remember her saying that. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So that was
which means that she was probably awakening. She was on the, well, she'd at least let go of thinking that she knew what, what life was about, because that means that her ego dropped away to an extent. Whether she had the full, awakening to the truth, probably not, but that's the first step. So ideally, you want to get to that step long before your deathbed.
Yeah.
So, okay, actually, I'm clueless. I don't really know. So show me. And interesting, I don't know if you listen to Anthony Hopkins. I posted a video on him a while ago on the group. But he said the same thing. So he's 82, hugely successful, one of the most successful actors in history, British history, it's like, he said, I know nothing. I'm 82, I have no clue. I don't know anything. And he laughs. And you can see he's quite okay with that. It's like, I don't know anything. The older you get, the more you realize that I know nothing.
Yeah, but whereas when you're younger, you're full of it. Yeah, you're full of.
When you're younger, I know. And then that's mirrored by some of the greatest minds in history. Einstein, so some said some of the things I don't really know. Isaac Newton, famous quote. I've used as one of our quotes where he says, it seems to me like I've just been like a boy on the seashore playing with pebbles and stones. So when the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. So this is the greatest scientific mind of his generation. He was hailed as Newton's laws and he was a genius and and he's going, no, actually I'm clueless. They don't teach you that in physics, do they?
No, it's not,
When you do science, they don't say, oh, well, actually, this is what Newton had to say about his entire career. That's actually good. He doesn't know what he's doing. Because what we don't know is that there's the quote. So maybe read that, Elaine.
Oh, yeah. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been a little boy playing on the seashore and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary. whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Yeah.
So what a great quote. I mean, talk about humble. So this is one of the greatest minds of his generation. He's discovered the laws of physics. He's lauded, I mean, most scientists before Einstein, Newton was it. He was the greatest of all time, greatest scientist of all time. And yeah, he's going, actually, I'm clueless. Because what they don't tell you in the history and in your physics classes is that he was also an alchemist. So kind of parallel to all of his physics stuff that he did at Cambridge University, his kind of public life and the papers he published and all of that was the side that was looking for a deeper truth. He was looking for, the alchemists were looking for the philosopher's stone.
Like Einstein.
Which is symbolic of the truth.
Like
Einstein, very similar. Like he was
Carl Jung
looking
as well.
for
Carl
the
Jung.
great. Yeah, they all the great minds of history end up searching for the same truth because they realize that there's something deeper that's undiscovered that is calling them, and they, it's an intangible. It's very to discover the truth is purely experiential.
Yeah.
You're not going to find it in the world. You're not going to find it in formulas, in mathematics.
You just know when it happens. Yeah.
It's beyond all of those things. But as they start to probe into the nature of truth through, say, science was Newton's path. So was it Einstein's path. Jung took a psychological path. But as you probe, you start coming into some awareness that there's this greater truth. There must be, because you can experience glimpses of it. And that's obviously what Newton had experienced. Otherwise, he wouldn't have written something like this, would he? This was presumably towards the end of his life. On reflection on his life, he's written this. And well, I don't know. I appear to be this really successful scientist, and that I've discovered all these amazing laws. But actually, I've just been fiddling around with these well described, smoother pebbles, prettier shells on the shore, but the great ocean of truth is before me, and I haven't even touched it.
That's a good quote. Yeah,
great quote.
I like that. I like it.
To remind ourselves to stay humble, stay hungry. And I don't know if you remember Steve Jobs' The Great Address. I shared that as well. And his final message to all the Stanford graduates was, stay hungry, stay foolish. Same message, isn't it? You don't actually know. That's what he's saying. You don't know. Stay in that place of not knowing and being open to guidance. Really. Even though he'd achieved all that, built the most successful company, the most valuable company in the world. Even though he'd achieved all that, stay hungry, stay foolish. So these great minds are telling us the truth. Stay humble. Stay open to guidance, because actually in your ego, you know nothing.
No, yeah.
And if we can listen to that guidance, then true greatness comes from surrender. The truly great masters of this world, like the Yeshuas and the Buddhas and so on, they opened to that guidance. They stayed in the, I don't know, but there is a presence in me that does know.
Yeah.
And I'm open to that. I'm going to allow that to live my life for me. And that is what defines greatness, is the ability, the willingness, first of all, and then the ability to do that.
Sally's back with us. Oh, no, she's not. Oh, Sally's left.
Lynn.
Sorry, I've got Sally on the brain.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's an excellent quote.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I'm just saying we're really clueless, and if I remain in the illusion that I know what I'm doing, then I can't heal. You see how this all ties together. If I think that I know, then I'm not open to another way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Which is why people who are, you know, super successful in the world, until they've suffered, they're not open to this. Think of a Donald
No.
Trump. No, no, I've
Oh,
got it all
yeah.
taped. I'm a billionaire and I'm going to be next president again. And he's kind of got it all worked out. And you said to him, actually, Donald, you're clueless. You have no idea
Mm. He's
what
quite
you're doing.
strange.
You have
Yeah.
no idea who you are. On some level,
Mm.
that might actually resonate. You might, like, in an honest moment, go, actually, maybe that's not far from the truth. But
Mm.
his ego's too strong to accept that. So, of course, I have an idea. I've been president of the United States, been highly successful. You can be a billionaire. Who are you? You know, you haven't made any money. You've been political leader, never mind, leader
Yeah.
of the most powerful country in the world. Who are you to say that?
Mm. Yeah, he's got a very strong ego.
But, you know, underneath it, you see a man who is actually lost. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm.
He's out of his depth. He's trying to big himself up through, you know, the externals, money, and now, well, money wasn't enough, was it? Oh, I'm a billionaire. No, that's not enough. I need the status of becoming president of the United States. That's the next step, isn't it? Because the ego is always saying, well, you've got to have more. What you've achieved isn't enough. Oh, no, now you've got to be president. And then disappointment, oh, he's not president. Oh, but I've got to be president again. I've got to have a second term. Why? Why go to all that effort? Why not just retire and go, well, I've got enough money. I can just like have a peaceful life. Why do I need to become president again?
Mm.
Only the ego is gonna desire that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's never
He-
enough.
He's larger than life.
Yeah. Except actually underneath it, there's a you know, an old man aging and probably going into, you know, early stage dementia that's not coping
Mm. Mm.
and doesn't want to show that vulnerability, but actually, you know, his state of mind is quite fragile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if he was open to healing, he'd say, you know what, actually, rather than all this external stuff, let me focus on getting to know myself. Who am I really? Who is Donald Trump really? And maybe I could use my final years on the planet to discover that. But the strong ego won't allow that. So then you've got to go and keep seeking externally. And you can guarantee that even if he does get another term of office, it's not going to work. He'll get it, and he'll go, but it won't make him happier. It's not going to work to help him be happier or more peaceful or come to know who he really is. It'll just be more of the same drama as happened in his first term.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
So you see how the Holy Spirit just totally reinterprets whatever the ego does and goes, oh, okay, just look at it differently. And then there's no point to that. So it would direct him to a completely different course of action if he listened. And then he wouldn't be running for president, and then he wouldn't be the whatever president of the United States, and history would change, because that's how the Holy Spirit affects history, through individuals' transformation and healing. Okay, so back to number 4. Let's carry on. Healing is a sign.
Is that just in the alternative? Or is there much to change?
Not a terribly much. Holy Spirit will become remembrance of perfect love, and God will become pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just read an alternative.
Healing is a sign that I want to make whole. And this willingness opens my mind to the remembrance of perfect love, whose message is wholeness. It will enable me to go far beyond the healing I would undertake, for beside my small willingness to make whole, it will lay its own complete awareness and make mine whole. What can the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love not accomplish with the source of pure formless awareness of perfect love? in me. And yet the invitation must come from me, for I have surely learned that whom I invite as my guest will live with me. So it's saying that the healing is a sign we want to make whole. And so this will open our minds to remembrance of perfect love, which is the message of wholeness. It's basically saying, what can the extension of perfect love not accomplish with the source of perfect love in us? But it must, the invitation must come from me. But that, yeah, you see, this is where the invitation can't come from the separate me. It's got to come from our holy high self, hasn't it? So it's just
It's the awareness that knows there's something else. So often when you suffer enough and the separate self is really distressed, then another awareness can kick in. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's something else. Maybe this isn't. It becomes unbearable.
Yeah.
It's often how people awaken. They're like, okay, so your tolerance for pain may be high, says Yeshua, but it's not unlimited. So when it becomes unbearable, then it can force the mind into the other awareness that's always been there, but it's been covered over.
So this is why a lot of people go through this dark night of the soul before the awakening.
Yeah. Because it has to get really intense in the darkness before they're willing to listen to the light.
Yeah.
Because if everything's kind of, well, it's dark, but it's not so dark, I can kind of manage in my darkness and I sort of get used to it. It's not intense enough to force you to awaken. But when it's really, really dark and it's so difficult and painful, then you're forced to go somewhere else, aren't you? You're either going to commit suicide. That's one way out of the dilemma. But that's not really going to work long term, because you just remove the immediate stressors in your environment because you disappear from the world, but you haven't actually healed the ego, which is still in you. You haven't healed the thought system and the self-concept that has caused all of this. But that's not really going to work. The courageous approach is, no, I'll face the darkness and I'll go through the darkness to the light. And I have to remain here to do that. And that might take months, years, it's actually your whole life to work through the darkness and come into the light, so that when you're finally ready to let it all go and lay the body aside, then there's no darkness left. The ego's gone. And you don't need to come back and have another life as a separate self in a body, because you don't believe in the separate self anymore. And that's, the simple truth behind enlightenment and awaken. He's saying here in summary that this willingness to heal is the start of then going into the whole awareness, the complete awareness. Beside my small willingness to make whole, it will give its own complete awareness and make mine whole. So it's saying we just have to meet it kind of halfway. There needs to be a willingness. If you're, seemingly in time and space and all these experiences in the world seem to be real, and your ego feels lost and afraid and angry and upset and whatever else, there needs to be a willingness to change that, a willingness to reach up to the true self and say, help me. And that willingness to heal then invites the whole awareness to come down. That this pure formless awareness of perfect love starts to come into more and more into your awareness. And that raises you up into a higher awareness, into the full awareness of your true self or Christ as the extension of this awareness. And at the highest level of Christ consciousness or awareness, you realize that you are this awareness. So that then takes you from this state into the pure formless awareness of perfect love, back to your source. And that's what he's referring to here, in that your willingness leads to the whole awareness. And that's what the Holy Trinity is designed to do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Up here, number 4.
Yeah, that's good.
Go on to number 5. So the eternal, so him, translations here will be Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love. The guest remains the same, that's the Holy Spirit. And God is pure formless awareness of perfect love, and him and his and so on will become its.
Right.
Okay, so
Right. The
remembrance
remembrance of perfect love cannot speak to an unwelcoming host because it will not be heard. The eternal guest remains, but its voice grows faint in alien company. It needs my attention only because my care is a sign that I want it. Think like it ever so slightly, and the little willingness becomes a blazing awareness that fills my mind so that it becomes my only guest. What is guest again? Or are you keeping guest as guest?
The guest is the Holy Spirit. My only guest, the eternal guest, is the remembrance of perfect love. But it's capitalized, it's referring to the Holy Spirit.
Right. And whenever I ask the belief in separation to enter, I lessen its welcome. It will remain, but I have allied myself against it. Whatever journey I choose to take, it will go with me, waiting. I can safely trust its patience, for it cannot leave a part of perfect love of pure formless awareness. Yet I need far more than patience. So,
what's he saying?
Well, we need just a little bit of willingness, and then this blaze of awareness will just fill our minds. And so that becomes our only Holy Spirit, the guest. So, but whenever we ask the belief in separation to enter, then it lessens its welcome. So you just not got the chance to listen. It will remain, but we've allied ourselves against it. So whatever journey we choose to take, it will go with us, waiting. So it's always going to be there. So we can safely trust its patience. But we do actually need more than patience. Well, what more can we have than patience? Willingness? Yet I need far more.
You'll tell us in the next paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So very encouraging. You're saying it's wherever I go, whatever I do, I could decide to go on a totally egoic path. It will go with me waiting. So it's always there waiting for me to listen. Can't help me until I'm willing to listen. So it's got to wait until I'm willing to listen. Sometimes that means I've got to go into the darkness and the depths of despair and through some, seemingly awful experiences. But the purpose of the awful experiences is to help you listen. So they're not really awful. They're actually necessary to wake you up. That's why Yeshua says, everything is gently planned for your higher good and for your awakening, because sometimes the pain, whatever the circumstances are necessary to awaken. Okay. So let's go on then to number 6. I think read this, I better translate this. So read it in the original and the alternative kindly.
You will never rest until you know your function and fulfill it, for only in this can you will and your fathers be wholly joined. I will
Your will.
never rest. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. I will never rest until I know my function and fulfill it, for only this can my awareness and my source be wholly joined. To have him is to be like him, and he has given himself to you. To have this awareness is to be it, and it has given itself to me. You who have God must be as God, for his function became yours with his gift. I, who have pure formless awareness of perfect love, must be as pure formless awareness of perfect love is, for its function is mine as its gift. Invite this knowledge back into your mind and let nothing that obscures it enter. Invite this knowledge back into your mind and let nothing that obscures it enter. The guest whom God sent you will teach you how to do this if you but recognize the little spark and are willing to let it grow. The guest whom pure formless awareness of perfect love sent me will teach me how to do this if I but recognize the little willingness I am willing to let it grow. Your willingness need not be perfect because his is. My willingness need not be perfect because its is. If you merely offer him a little place, he will lighten it up so much that you will gladly let it be increased. If I will only offer it a little place, it will strengthen my willingness so much that I will gladly let it be increased. And by this increase, you will begin to remember creation. And by this increase, I will begin to remember beingness. Do you want me to read that?
From the top, from the alternative.
I will never rest until I know my function and fulfill it. For only in this can my awareness and my sources be wholly joined. To have this awareness is to be it, and it has given itself to me. I, who have pure formless awareness of perfect love, must be as pure formless awareness of perfect love is, for its function is mine as its gift. I will invite this knowledge back into my mind and let nothing that obscures it enter. I just recognize the little willingness, and I am willing to let it grow. The guest whom pure formless awareness of perfect love sent me will teach me how to do this. My willingness need not be perfect because it is. If I will only offer it a little place, it will strengthen my willingness so much that I will gladly let it be increased. And by this increase, I will begin to remember being.
Yes, what's he saying here?
So it's just saying we'll never rest until we fulfill our function, which is our awareness and our source to be wholly joined. And so to have this awareness is to be it.
Yeah.
So it's so we're inviting this knowledge back into our minds and not let anything obscure it. So we just recognize just a little bit of willingness, then that willing will grow as the guest of pure formless awareness of perfect love sent us to teach us how to do this. So it's all about willingness and a need not to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because
Fortunately, if a willingness needed to be perfect, then we would have to be enlightened before we started the course, wouldn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect willingness is the enlightened awareness. It's perfectly in tune with its source. So we just have to be a little willing. Say, okay, well, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to listen to guidance. And I won't listen, not necessarily perfectly, but the little willingness opens the door. It's like I'm willing to open the door to invite the guest in. If you're not even willing to open the door, then the guest can't come in. So in your situation with Sally, she's got to be willing to open the door to allow it in. To say, okay, well, maybe there's a better way. There must be a better way. And think of Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford, there must be a better way than this. That was opening the door to the guest. And the result was the Course in Miracles and this profound teaching that came into the world just because they were a little willing at that point. It wasn't the whole willingness, was it? They were just a little willing to listen to the Holy Spirit and to find another way. So that's what starts. That's where it starts, the little willingness, and then it grows. Now, ultimately, he says, well, it requires to go the whole way, requires great willingness, great effort and willingness. So, but it starts with a little. I don't expect great willingness to start with, but a little willingness, and that will grow in time, and that willingness will bring results that encourage you to give more willingness. That's what the miracles are for. Now, the more willing I am, the more I see, okay, this is working, the more willing I become to follow this path and let go of the egos. And that's why the miracles are so important, because they increase your willingness to listen. Okay. So happy to go on to number 7, which I think is the last paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah. So am I just doing in the alternative or both or?
What do you think? I'll leave it up to you, Elaine. You decide. It's a bit to translate, but
Not too much. Yeah, I'll just do it in the alternative.
okay. So God will become pure formless awareness of perfect love. Holy Spirit is a remembrance of perfect love. And those are the main translations. Okay, read it then.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Would I be hostage to the belief in separation or host a pure formless awareness of perfect love? I will accept only whom I invite. I am free to determine who shall be my guest and how long he shall remain with me. Yet this is not real freedom, for it still depends on how I perceive it. The remembrance of love is there, although it cannot help me without my invitation. And the belief in separation is nothing, whether I invite it in or not.
Elaine, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you not hear me? I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
faded away for a bit.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I'm here. Yet this is not real freedom, for it still depends on how I perceive it. The remembrance of perfect love is there, although it cannot help me without my invitation. And the belief in separation is nothing, whether I invite it in or not. Real freedom depends on welcoming reality and of my guests. Only the remembrance of perfect love is real. Know then who lives with me merely by recognizing what is there already, and I do not be and I do not be satisfied with imaginary comforters, for the comforter of perfect love is in me. So it's just saying, do you really want to be a hostage to this belief in separation, or you can be a host to the pure formless awareness, but you will only accept who you invite. So, but you can only invite them through the Holy Spirit, because the ego is not going to invite it.
Yeah, the ego will resist the guest, because remember, the guest throws it out. The ego invites the guest in, and the guest chucks it out of its own home, what it perceives as its own home. So, it perceives the guest as a threat, and will do everything it can to keep the guest out.
Yeah, that's true.
So it must be the part of your awareness that knows that it's a prisoner in this home. That basically you've got a tyrant. You're imprisoned by this tyrant in this home that is your mind and your life, and you desperately want some guest to come in and help you.
But it chucks them out.
The ego is going to try and chuck it out, but you'll find a way to let it in
by stillness. Yeah.
Yeah, or the willingness to just keep allowing it, saying, okay, so although there's resistance, I'm aware of that actually this is what I really want. This guest that I'm inviting in is what I really want, and this guest will help me to find peace and happiness and love and joy and everything else I yearn for. So this guest will bring the light into my dark household, and it's going to chuck the tyrant out ultimately. Which of course the tyrant knows, and so then is hugely resistant to the guest. But you are still in charge. You see, the decision maker in you, which is the one that invites the ego to be the boss of that house, can decide to chuck it out by inviting the guest in. And the ego knows that. So although it's seemingly the tyrant and the boss, it's only there by your invitation. So it can be chucked out by your invitation as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I cannot be satisfied. Do not be satisfied. It's imaginary comforters. I will not, shall we say? I will not be. Just read it from the top again, just to make sure we got translations right, if you don't mind.
Would I be hostage to the belief in separation, or host a pure formless awareness of perfect love? I will accept only whom I invite. I am free to determine who shall be my guest and how long it shall remain with me. Yet this is not real freedom, for it still depends on how I perceive it. The remembrance of perfect love is there, although it cannot help me without my invitation. And the belief in separation is nothing, whether I invite it in or not. Real freedom depends on welcoming reality, and of my guests only the remembrance of love is real. Therefore, I can know who lives with me merely by recognizing what is there already, and I will not be satisfied with imaginary comforters, for the comforter of perfect love that's in me.
Yeah. So what's he saying? Summary?
Well, like I say, do we want to be, a hostage to this belief in separation, or a host to the pure formless awareness? It's our choice to invite who we wish. So we have to accept only whom we invite, because they're very different. So we're free to determine who shall be the guest and how long they can remain. But this, they're saying, is not real freedom. But they're saying that the remembrance of perfect love is there, although it cannot help without our invitation. And the belief in separation is nothing. So whether it's invited in or not, it's nothing.
Hmm.
So it's real freedom is welcoming the reality. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so if you want to read the summary, just to wrap it up.
Yeah. In my understanding of sickness as manifestation of separation, I recognize that choosing to heal and be healed is my initial step towards realizing what I truly desire. Each healing thought draws me nearer to this realization, while every attack distances me. As both the source of extension of perfect oneness, I embody this dual aspect, uniting my being with my awareness of perfect oneness allows me to understand there is only one awareness.
Okay, summary of that. Make any comments on that?
Well, our understanding of sickness is a manifestation of separation. So each healing thought draws us closer to the realization, while intact thoughts distance us. So I embody this dual aspect.
I need a bit of translation there. It's both the source and extent of perfect love. Let's look at the original. Sometimes the in generally this is ChatGPT, so it's AI. Generally does a pretty good job. But sometimes the concepts are just a bit much. Doesn't quite get it. Unite having beings, unite my awareness. Extension of both source and extension, because it is both source extension. So something like that would be more appropriate. Okay. So we'll say the extension, perfect love, has both source and extension, because it is both source and extension. Writing my beings, my awareness of perfect love allows me to understand there is only one awareness. Identifying fully with perfect love. So let me say, identifying fully with pure formless awareness of perfect love helps me to understand that there is only one awareness. which must be my awareness. So very simple, actually. Just helps us to understand that there's only one awareness, and that is our own awareness. Okay, second one, healing teaches me about myself.
Healing teaches me about myself, turning every instance of healing into a lesson that enhances my role as both teacher and learner. By acknowledging those healed by truth, I count myself among them, which affirms my own healing. Each moment of correction and healing thought reaffirms my identity as an extension of perfect oneness, while every harmful thought I entertain denies my true nature. So healing is teaching us about our true self, turning every instance into a healing into a lesson, so that we become a teacher and learner. So we count ourselves as one of them. So then that affirms our healing. So each moment of correction and healing affirms our extension of perfect oneness, whereas every harmful thought we entertain denies our true nature.
Yeah. So what do you want?
Yeah.
The illusion of yourself, or do you want the truth? And every thought you have confirms one or the other. It's very simple, but it requires a lot of responsibility. Okay, so every thought, I can't be sloppy with my thoughts. You know, every thought is important.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. But sometimes a thought comes up, which just can't be helped. It just comes out of nowhere. But I guess it's a case of not entertaining it.
Exactly. These random thoughts can come, and they usually egoic. Occasionally you get random spiritual thoughts, Holy Spirit inspired thoughts.
Oh yes,
which is guided. But if it's some random not helpful thought, then you can either believe it and act on it, or you can look at it from your higher awareness and go, that's just nonsense. No. That's not a real thought. That's not my real self talking there. Which is what forgiveness entails. Okay, just look at it and realize that it's not real. Which is simple but easier said than done. That's the practice of this. Which is why we remind ourselves, we do the lessons, we study the text, because it's ongoing. You got to remind yourself again. If you don't, you slip. You stop being as vigilant, don't you? You just kind of slip into.
Well, I mean, you can't control what thought's going to come next, but all I can do is just not entertain it if it's harmful, because you never know what thought's going to turn up.
Yeah,
it just pops up out of nowhere. So it's
ultimately,
impossible.
when you fully awaken, those thoughts will stop.
Oh right.
But while you've still got the ego in your subconscious, they're coming up from your subconscious. That's where they come from.
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Which you're not aware of, but it's a subconscious mind, and then it just seems to come from nowhere. But it's actually the iceberg beneath the tip of the iceberg, the bulk of the iceberg that's always been there. It's just now popping up and arising. You say, look, here I am again. Here's the tip of the iceberg. Be conscious of me, because without you having awareness of it, it doesn't exist. So it's just the ego's attempt to try and exist again. Okay. Happy with the next one. Denial like love is complete.
Denial like love is complete. I cannot deny part of myself without the rest feeling meaningless and separate. I heal only myself because I am the one who needs healing due to lack of self understanding. Healing signifies my desire for wholeness, opening me to the remembrance of oneness, which promises complete awareness beyond my initial willingness.
Okay. Key point there. What's he saying?
Well, just denial, like love is incomplete. Is complete, and we can't deny this part of ourselves, because otherwise it all feels meaningless and separate. So I heal only myself because I'm the one who needs healing due to our lack of self-understanding. So opening us up to this perfect love, which promises complete awareness beyond the initial willingness.
Yeah. So start with baby steps is what he's saying. A little willingness, you start with that, you start getting some positive results, and the willingness grows. And that's how you learn anything, isn't it? You start, think of when you learn to do anything when you're a kid. It's like, okay, well, I've got a little willingness to learn. Maybe I'm a bit scared, but I do it, and then I get a positive result. Oh, look, I did it. Mommy, Daddy, I did it. And they go, yeah, well done, And you're like, oh, okay, I'm more willing now because I got a result, So I carry on. And so I'm now willing to, take the next step. And if you're riding a bike, okay, well, I'll be a bit braver, and I'll, instead of riding 5 meters in the backyard, I'll go riding down the lane. And so, and then short time you're riding all over the place because you were just willing to try. So it's the same principle. Just be a little willing, and then the Holy Spirit will meet that willingness with its guidance. As you willing, it gives you the guidance. It reveals the miracles, which is designed to increase your motivation. Okay, I'm more willing because wow, look at what happened. That's great. That this is actually working. I'm going somewhere with this, and we open up more. So it just starts with a little willingness, but ultimately says it takes great willingness and great effort to do this. But it starts with the little willingness. When I got into the course, I had no idea how much of my life it would take. It was just a book I was reading. Like, okay, well, I'm willing to read and learn. Little willingness, and then it's like, okay, but as you go deeper into it, it asks you for more willingness. And now it's like, okay, are you willing to dedicate hours and hours a day to this, and teach it, learn it, teach it, live it? I mean, it's been times when I've done 12 hours a day of learning, teaching,
because it's
work.
The thing is, it's so easy for the ego to sneak in. If you have even a few days of no meditation and not doing anything, it can quite easily sneak back in.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a daily practice. That's why I was like, I need to develop a daily course, because it's a daily practice, because that's what's going to keep people on track. If you don't have a daily practice and daily reminders, hence, the daily lessons that he's done, but some guidance and facilitation to help you to do those lessons and the text, because otherwise, if you don't make a concerted effort to do the text, you won't read it, will you? You'll just say, oh, well, I'll just do the lessons. Some people have done that for years.
Yeah.
Okay, well, every day we're going to do a lesson, and there's a whole, support around that, and there's a live session, there's recordings, and every day we're going to do the text, and there's the reading, and then you get through. If you do that, you'll get through the whole course, which is what this program is designed to do, to take you through it in a very systematic, progressive, guided way. And you're like, okay,
you definitely need to do, even just reading it is good, but to actually experience it, you do need to have that quiet meditation stillness. Because sometimes, like last year, the reading it was really helpful, and I really felt great benefit. But then this year, I got obviously a bit of the dark patch, as they call it. and that was the ego fighting back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I find the only way is to do this very quiet stillness. Yeah, you do need to find that. So not, and bringing the lesson in, of course, but just trying to just do it by reading it and saying it in your head while you're going out about your day. The ego still keeps jumping in, no doubt
Well,
about
that's why
it.
he has the longer periods. He says there's a long practice period, morning and evening. That's your longer meditation, which allows for a period of contemplation.
But some people are going to be more susceptible.
15 to 20 minutes to go a bit deeper. In the shorter,
of course,
top you up.
Of course, yeah. No, that's all helpful. But then there's sometimes you just need, you don't eventually need without words.
Yeah.
But that's work in progress still for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do find the meditation is really the key, isn't it, as well? And with the obviously with the lessons, to understand it first and then to experience it. It is, So it's a daily practice, absolutely.
Yeah, which is why he's given the course as that. You've got the theory and then you've got the daily practice. Because he knows if you don't practice daily, the ego's still got a hold. And
it does, yeah.
So
definitely.
It needs to be daily reminders. It's the same lesson really every day. It's just got a different flavor, different aspects.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
Same lesson.
But as you say, there's people that have been studying the course for 20, 30, 40 years, but maybe they still haven't found quite that true awareness. Maybe in bits, they'll have had glimpses, I guess. Still worth it. It's better than not doing it.
It's quite a wordy path, so there's a lot of words and a lot of concepts, and some people just don't penetrate through that. It's like, what it's trying to take you into is an experience of it.
Honestly, I mean, it's, I really like the course. It's very good for me. It resonates with me. So, however, I'm still on the path. Yeah.
On the path for the rest of your life.
Speaking
of the path, shall we carry on? I've got to go in 8 minutes.
Yes, sorry, yes, I'm rambling on.
Remembrance of perfect love.
Yeah, the remembrance of perfect love cannot reach me if I am not receptive. Even a slight alignment with its thought enhances my receptivity, allowing its presence to dominate my awareness. Any invitation I extend to the belief in separation reduces my openness to this presence, though it patiently remains with me on any path I choose.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Well, if we're not receptive to this, then it's not going to reach us. So any invitation I extend to the belief in separation reduces my openness to this presence. Although it patiently remains with us on our path that we choose.
On any path. So even if it's a very dark path, even take the extreme of the ego, say Hitler, Stalin, these people who just murdered millions of people. The Holy Spirit's still there, but they're just not willing to listen to it. And it will be there. It's not like, oh, God's going to punish you and, not listen. When they're ready to listen, then it will be there. Because it doesn't work, in the same punitive way as the ego does. Okay, well, so you've gone on your way and you've become a mass murderer and killed millions of people, but it doesn't really matter because you're still one with God. So when you're ready, the remembrance of that will be there. Because it's their own remembrance. It's their own memory of that state that they've chosen to deny. So how can it not be there? The original state, it's always going to be there. So that's very comforting to know. No matter what you do, it's always going to be there. And so you just have to turn to it. Whenever you're ready, it's there. Just be willing to listen. So the question then becomes, when will that be? When am I ready to listen? now, or do I have to go through another 5 years or 10 years of pain and suffering and misery to listen? Why not now? And you're just saying, well, why not make it now? Now's as good a time as any. In fact, it's only ever been now. So why not do it now? Why delay it? Okay, then 2 paragraphs to go. Last one of this summary and then the key message.
Yeah. Ultimately, I seek to fulfill my function, fully merging my awareness with that of my source, an endeavor that it is both gifted to me and expected of me. Recognizing even a hint of willingness in myself allows this gift to expand within me, reminding me of my true beingness. My freedom is genuine only when I welcome this reality, distinguishing real from illusory comfort and acknowledging the constant presence of perfect love within me.
Somebody's saying that.
Well, ultimately, we seek to fulfill our function, merging with our awareness in that of our source, and endeavor that it both gifted to me and expected of me. So even a hint of willingness in myself allows this gift to expand within me. So that reminds us of our true being. So our freedom is genuine only when we welcome this reality, distinguishing real from illusory comfort, and acknowledge the constant presence of perfect love within me, which is our true comforter.
Another way of looking at this would be this, the analogy with the spark, to the flame. It's like a little spark. And if you're willing to just, like a fire, you have a little start, and it's a spark, and then it's a little flame, and then you blow on it, and it grows ultimately into a raging fire. That's what he's asking us to do. Be willing just to nurture the spark into a flame, and then let the flame grow into the fire, which is the inner fire of the Holy Spirit that will then blaze within you when it comes into its fullness. It's a blazing awareness, blazing light, as he calls it. But it starts, with baby steps, with a little willingness. Okay, and then just the key message.
Yeah.
To sum up the whole thing.
Yeah, I am willing to invite the Holy Spirit or remembrance of perfect love into my mind to be healed and heal others. What starts with a little willingness to listen to this voice or love will strengthen the more I am willing to listen to it. This will lead me into the state of pure formless awareness that is my own true awareness, which is the complete healing of my mind and its restoration to full awareness of its source.
Yeah, so
was just about a little willingness to invite this state of Holy Spirit into our minds to heal ourselves and others. So
I think that's the key point. Yeah, starts with a little willingness. Just be willing. Take the first step, then that leads you to more willingness. Take the next one. And if you keep doing that, then you'll reach your destination. Think of it again. Analogy, you're at a crossroads. There's 2 guides, and the true guide, the Holy Spirit, says, just come, follow me. I'll show you the right way. Don't listen to the other guide who's the ego, misleading. The ego's shouting away, trying to get you to follow it. But just be willing, and I'll show you the right way, and we'll take the journey together. It's going to be all right. Wherever you are, you might be in the deepest hole, but I'll show you the way. And if you're just willing to listen, then it will guide you, and that will lead to your full awakening, full awareness of its source, which is your full awakening, and that is your healing. Okay, so thank you, Elaine. Good session.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon. Tomorrow. Happen
What day
tomorrow.
is it?
Yeah, I could do
Thursday.
tomorrow afternoon. Could do
I've
tomorrow
got one
afternoon.
more this week. I've got one more
Hmm?
this week.
You got one more, yeah.
One more.
Yeah. So you want to do Friday or Thursday or Friday? I need to offer a session.
It's
what-
whatever's easiest for you. You can just let me know tomorrow.
Oh.
Whatever, yeah, because do you know what tomorrow brings?
What's on the agenda tomorrow?
Well,
Yeah,
I've
I
got
think
work in
tomorrow
the morning.
afternoon. Have you?
That's
Yeah?
it.
Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. You work?
Or maybe Friday.
Yeah.
Should we do
okay.
Friday, or which do you prefer?
No, I think tomorrow, because I've got probably a presentation on Friday, which will
Oh.
be mid-afternoon, 2 o'clock. So
Right. It's
do
just
tomorrow. That'd be great.
yeah, it might be a little bit later than 1, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
1:30.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Provisional, yeah. Okay.
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 Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye for now. All right. So thanks to Elaine. For joining the session. If you enjoyed this, then you can go to lifebuild.com to get the daily quote and some of the material I shared, including the daily lesson and a short meditation or breath break to help you practice the lesson. Lifebuild.com to sign up for that. And you also find out how to join us on this journey. You can join one of the live calls. And finally, if you enjoyed the session, then and you're not already a subscriber, then subscribe to be notified whenever I go live, which is typically 6 days a week. Via YouTube, you'll get a notification so you can tap into the live stream. So thank you for watching or listening, and I hope to catch you on the inside soon. Keep practicing, and namaste, which means the true healed self in me acknowledges and honors that same healed self in you. Sending you much love, peace.